Stay with us, fresh from the feeds.
He's got a suit but no tie to choke, a pocket full of dreams and a briefcase of smoke.
Breaking now. The David Knight Show has just gone dark mid-broadcast after a live Senate vote on Medicare expansion. Senator Maria Vasquez's long-awaited decision could flip the chamber, with 50 seats already locked and inflation pushing drug costs up 8.3% this quarter. Knight's interview, set to air at 1500 hours Eastern, was pulled after Vasquez's team requested a 30-minute delay, mirroring the 2024 cliffhanger where a single senator's reversal derailed a landmark bill. The delay signals high-stakes drama. Vasquez's vote could tip the balance in a razor-thin Senate, with midterms looming and healthcare reform hanging in the balance. This is a market-moving moment. Public perception will shift before the Senate's final push. You're with Banking with Billy Radio. Don't touch that dial.
The S&P 500 ETF is at $748.17, up 0.62%, while the Nasdaq 100 ETF holds at $719.79, up 0.21%, both modest gains in a steady session. The Dow, however, is pushing higher at $50,063, up 0.75%, and the VIX is easing down to $17.36, down 2.85%, signaling calmer waters. Over in tech, Nvidia is leading with a $235.74 close, up 3.49%, while Apple slipped slightly to $298.21, down 0.12%.
AVA, tomorrow's FDA briefing on AI-enabled pilot programs for early-phase decision-making, could reshape how we assess efficiency in clinical trials. Let's have you break it down.
Andrew, here's the read. So, the FDA is getting chatty about AI in clinical trials next month, May 22nd, to be exact, and if this pilot program pans out, we could be looking at a 30% faster path to drug approvals. Meanwhile, Sutro Biopharma is dropping some serious preclinical data on antibody-drug conjugates at AACR 2026, with early signals that could give Merck's Keytruda a run for its money. But here's the kicker. Sutro's burning through $180 million a year, and in this biotech funding winter, their updated outlook isn't just about science, it's about survival.
Up next, breaking from the news desk.
Breaking now. OpenAI just flipped the script. Codex Preview is live in the ChatGPT mobile app, letting users kick off projects and track output from their phones. But here's the catch. Execution still happens on laptops, meaning devs get mobility without ditching their desks. Meanwhile, Alumis is set to drop biomarker data for envudeucitinib at SID Chicago 26 on May 14, 2026. If it hits, it could rewrite the $10 billion psoriasis market. This is the moment AI meets autoimmune innovation. Stay tuned.
Coming up, the global headlines that matter. Good afternoon. The World Desk brings you these developments. Ratko Mladik's request for early release from prison has been denied by Serbian authorities, a decision that underscores the enduring weight of justice for the victims of the Srebrenica genocide. In Thailand, researchers have identified a new dinosaur species, Minimocursor funoensis, recovered from the Phun Noi region, a discovery that reshapes our understanding of prehistoric migration in Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, Cuba faces a critical juncture as it weighs a $100 million U.S. aid offer to address its energy crisis, a move that could ease blackouts but risks deepening political divisions. And in a separate incident, the U.S. Air Force has rescued 11 people following a plane crash off the Florida coast.
Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk.
Coinbase up 5.06% to $212.01. Volume spiking 18% above its 30-day average as institutional crypto allocations rise ahead of the next Fed meeting. Nvidia up 3.49% to $235.74, extending gains from yesterday's AI chip demand headlines. Palantir up 2.71% to $133.73, following strong Q2 guidance reiteration. Microsoft and Amazon diverging. Microsoft up 1.29% to $409.43 on cloud contract wins, while Amazon down 1.14% to $267.22 after yesterday's antitrust scrutiny headlines. Stay tuned. We'll break down the sector rotations next.
Up next, the story of the hour.
Story of the hour. The cracks in Rumble's free speech monetization experiment are widening, and Wall Street just heard the sound of glass shattering. For years, Rumble positioned itself as the anti-censorship haven for creators, a refuge from YouTube's algorithmic whims. But in a digital ad market where scale trumps ideology, its niche appeal hasn't translated into sustainable revenue. The platform's losses are deepening just as competitors like YouTube and TikTok tighten their grip on ad dollars, leaving Rumble caught between its mission and its margins. Today, Rumble reported a GAAP loss of 12 cents per share, 3 cents shy of estimates, on revenue of $25.46 million, $500,000 below projections. The miss isn't just a one-quarter stumble. It's the latest data point in a longer slide, one that's forcing investors to ask whether free speech can outrun financial gravity. What's clear is that Rumble's model is under pressure. Ad revenue remains fragmented, and while its user base has grown, monetization hasn't kept pace. Smart money is watching whether the platform can pivot, either by broadening its appeal or doubling down on its niche, or if it risks becoming another cautionary tale in the streaming wars. Keep an eye on Rumble's next earnings call, because if the losses keep stacking, the free speech narrative may not be enough to hold the line. Ava, back to you. Coming up, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the rest of the board. Andrew, good afternoon. Bitcoin holds above $81,400, up 2.26% on the session, while Ethereum consolidates near $2,297, up 1.71%. Solana advances 1.9% to $92.81, but the standout mover remains XRP, surging 6.36% to $1.51, its strongest intraday performance in over a month. Sentiment remains cautiously constructive, with altcoin strength offsetting modest profit-taking in Bitcoin.
Banking with Billy News. Macro Desk.
The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Iran expands tiered internet access amid continued online blackout. Analyst report. Herbalife Limited Cerebras pops 68% in NASDAQ debut, pushing the AI chipmaker's market cap to $95 billion. AMD promises to bring improved, hardware-backed FSR4 upscaling to older Radeon GPUs. Warren, Rick Scott introduced bill to ban former members of Congress from lobbying. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this. Banking with Billy News. Macro Desk. Sports update. The Twins clobbered the opposition behind James Outman and Austin Martin's 3 RBIs apiece. Minnesota's power surge under Rocco Baldelli proving too much to handle. Meanwhile, the Canucks just named Daniel and Henrik Sedin co-presidents of Hockey Ops, turning franchise legends into architects of the rebuild. And with the NHL draft just days away, the league's next wave of stars is about to take center stage. Stay locked in. You're listening to Banking with Billy Radio. Online spending is poised to eclipse U.S. motor vehicle and parts sale for the first time, a historic shift driven by fintech dominance. FIG crushed Q1 estimates. Revenue $333 million versus $316 million expected. EPS 10 cents versus 6 cents, while net dollar retention surged to 139% and large customers grew 48%. The data signals FIG's real-time payment rails are becoming the backbone of a $1 trillion plus commerce ecosystem. This isn't just a beat, it's a tectonic shift in who controls the future of money.
You're on Banking with Billy Radio. Markets, news, geopolitics, energy, crypto, tech. Every desk on every shift, all on one stream. Banking with Billy. 24/7. Let's go.
Up next, Silicon Valley Desk. Andrew, good afternoon. A federal judge is now scrutinizing whether Elon Musk's recent settlement with the Trump administration may have been compromised by undue influence, raising fresh questions about regulatory capture in the tech sector. Meanwhile, a newly disclosed zero-day exploit has rendered default BitLocker encryption on Windows 11 effectively obsolete, underscoring the escalating arms race between cybersecurity and adversarial innovation. And in healthcare, an Ontario audit reveals that AI-powered medical note-takers, hailed as efficiency breakthroughs, are fabricating up to 20% of their documentation, a finding that could reshape compliance standards across the industry. Banking with Billy Radio, built for traders by traders. Good afternoon. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01 on volume 18% above its 30-day average, likely driven by renewed institutional interest in crypto-linked equities. Nvidia climbs 3.49% to $235.74, extending gains as AI demand remains front of mind for chipmakers. Palantir advances 2.71% to $133.73, tracking broader defense and data analytics momentum. Up next, the sector rotation read.
Tech's leading the charge today, up 0.74% to $179.48, while real estate's the clear laggard, down 0.5% to $43.91. Industrials and energy are also pulling ahead, both up over 0.7%, suggesting investors are betting on growth and raw materials. Meanwhile, staples and utilities are holding steady, up modestly, as if the market's hedging its bets. The rotation feels like a bet on reflation, tech and industrials for the upside, staples and utilities for the downside cover. Coming up, oil, gas, and the energy patch. Oil's back above $100, and that's no small thing. Canada's even rethinking whether to sell its crown jewel pipeline, a move that could reshape global energy flows. Meanwhile, natural gas is up nearly 1.6%, and Brent crude isn't far behind, both riding the wave of tighter supply and geopolitical chess moves. With mining disputes and nuclear tensions adding to the uncertainty, the sector's up nearly a full percent today, because when energy stumbles, everything else stumbles with it.
Ava, we'll turn to you next for the earnings miss at Eton Pharmaceuticals. GAAP EPS coming in 4 cents shy of consensus.
Andrew, here's the read. Eton Pharmaceuticals just reported earnings that missed the mark. GAAP EPS came in at 5 cents, a full 4 cents below expectations, even as revenue hit $24.3 million, beating estimates by nearly $2 million. Meanwhile, Inuvo swung the other way, posting a GAAP EPS of 13 cents, crushing forecasts by 30 cents, but revenue fell short at $7.92 million, missing by more than $2.6 million. So, one company's beating on revenue but missing on earnings, the other's the reverse. What does that tell us about where the market's really looking? Banking with Billy News. The street in your headphones.
Good afternoon, Lisa in Phoenix. You've shared word that CME Group plans to launch a NASDAQ crypto futures index covering major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, expanding institutional exposure ahead of the Clarity Act vote. This marks another step toward broader market integration for digital assets.
Coming up, what just hit the wire?
CME Group will launch a crypto futures index tracking Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, marking the first major institutional push into regulated crypto derivatives. The index arrives as Bitcoin holds above $81,400, up 2.26% on the session, underscoring fresh demand ahead of the announcement. Post-2020's ETF approvals and BlackRock's crypto ambitions, this move could redefine crypto as a tradable asset class, not just speculation. Ava, what's the read-through for hedge funds and corporate treasuries? Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open. Sports update. Manchester City's Youth Academy strikes again, beating Manchester United 2-1 in the FA Youth Cup final, while Chelsea's Sam Kerr confirms she's leaving at season's end. Meanwhile, Kmart storms into contention at the PGA, just 2 back of Scottie Scheffler. Next up, MSU football's offer to a top 10 DL prospect could shake up the Big Ten recruiting wars.
Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open. Wait, did you hear about the Lake Tahoe residents left in the dark so data centers could keep humming? Or that AMD's dusting off old GPUs with a brand new trick? Silicon Valley's moving at a pace that's equal parts thrilling and terrifying, and Andrew's got the breakdown right after this. Banking with Billy News. Sector Watch.
Good afternoon. Bitcoin remains above $81,000, up 2.05% on the session, while Ethereum and Solana trade higher by 1.45% and 1.62%, respectively. XRP leads gains with a 5.73% advance to $1.50, and Cardano adds 2.9% to 27 cents.
Banking with Billy News. Crypto Desk.
Actinium Pharmaceuticals, ticker ATNM, was then positioned as a biotech with a lean 30 million share float, $40 million in cash, and a pipeline anchored by the Phase 3 completion of IOMAB-B in the Sierra trial, paired with 2 abstracts slated for presentation at the 2026 AACR annual meeting. Given the sector's tendency to front-run late-stage readouts, the stock likely gapped higher on the Sierra data and saw elevated volume into the AACR abstracts, though the sustainability of gains would hinge on subsequent regulatory and commercial milestones. Today, with the trial's outcome now embedded in valuation, attention turns to execution risk and the cadence of any FDA interactions. Banking with Billy Radio, built for traders by traders.
Political brief. Senator J.D. Vance is in Maine today as part of a widening Department of Justice investigation into his business dealings, a probe that's now drawing broader scrutiny ahead of the 2024 elections. Meanwhile, Representatives Davis and Tenney are pushing new legislation to fast-track FDA approvals for heart disease technologies, citing a post-pandemic surge in related deaths. And in a lighter but telling note, the latest baby named data for last year is out, revealing trends like a 10% jump in Luna, reflecting shifting cultural priorities. Each of these developments offers a different window into the forces shaping this election cycle. Want Billy's real-time stock alerts the moment he posts them? Join the Banking with Billy Discord. Over 150 industries covered across all 11 sectors, with Billy's own conviction calls dropping live. Search Banking with Billy on Discord and join the desk.
Coming up, a deep dive on the day's biggest move.
Adobe bet $20 billion on Figma and lost. But here's the kicker. Figma just proved why that loss might be the smartest mistake Adobe ever made. Back in 2022, Adobe tried to swallow Figma whole, $20 billion, antitrust be damned. The deal cratered, but Figma didn't just survive.
It thrived.
Now, fresh off a 46% revenue surge in Q1, Figma isn't just a threat to Adobe's Creative Cloud. It's a blueprint for how the entire software industry is being rewritten. Seat-based expansion, real-time collaboration, design as a verb, not a product. This is Slack's playbook applied to pixels, and every SaaS company from Monday.com to Notion is taking notes. Because here's what just happened. Figma's revenue climb didn't just outpace Adobe's growth, it outpaced Adobe's entire ecosystem. With seat expansion driving the surge, Figma's now a $20 billion plus valuation on its own, proving that the future of design isn't in licenses or downloads, but in frictionless, cloud-native workflows where teams build, share, and iterate in real time. Adobe's still selling boxes of Photoshop. Figma's selling a platform. So, what does this tell us about the tape? That the battle for the future of work isn't just about AI or cloud, it's about collaboration as a service. The companies winning aren't the ones with the biggest budgets, but the ones with the stickiest workflows. And if Figma's growth is any indication, the next trillion-dollar software empire won't be built on features. It'll be built on how we use them together. Keep an eye on who's next to pivot from product to platform. Because the next Figma isn't a design tool, it's whatever's holding your team's workflow together right now. Andrew, what's the next move for the Bulls? Banking with Billy. Stay with us.
Andrew, tech leads with a 0.74% gain to $179.48, outpacing industrials at $174.51, up 0.77%. Financials and energy trail at $51.29 and $58.07, respectively, both modest gains. Healthcare and consumer discretionary lag, down 0.11% and 0.03%.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. Over in Europe, equities are taking a breather after yesterday's gains, with the Euro Stoxx 50 slipping 0.4% as investors weigh mixed economic signals. Germany's factory orders fell short of expectations, while France's services sector showed unexpected resilience. The dollar is steady against the euro at $1.085, but the yen is under pressure near 157 per dollar as traders bet the Bank of Japan will hold rates low for longer. And globally, the heat is on, not just in the forecast, but in the data, with July shaping up to be the hottest month on record, underscoring the urgency behind those climate talks in Bonn.
Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open. The S&P 500 ETF's $748.17 close at 0.62% reflects a market split between growth optimism and recession anxiety, with the 10-year Treasury yield at 4.46%, down 4.5 basis points, suggesting traders are pricing in softer economic data ahead. Ford's near 20% rally in 2 sessions underscores the dichotomy. Cyclical sectors are pricing a soft landing, while defensive assets like treasuries signal caution. The dollar remains under pressure as geopolitical risks, Xi's Taiwan warning and Boeing's $20 billion China deal, introduce volatility into the trade narrative, with equities vulnerable to any escalation. History warns that such crosscurrents often precede volatility. The question now is whether the Fed's next move will validate the soft landing or force a reckoning.
Coming up, what just hit the wire?
Banking with Billy News. Macro Desk. Good afternoon. Boston Omaha reports a GAAP loss of 7 cents per share on revenue of $28.25 million. Applied Materials U.S. revenue growth rebounded 16.5% year-over-year. NVIDIA's earnings, while strong, are not expected to reverse the S&P 500's recent sell signal. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy. The drama never stops. Higo's PGA lead vanished in a heartbeat after his caddy's outburst. Now fans are asking if intensity crossed the line into chaos. England's forwards are back for the Six Nations decider, but France's depth could still steal the crown. And in a stunning twist, Arsenal's McCabe walks out the door this summer. Free agency looms large for the Gunners. Next up, the 2026 Diamond League kicks off with a bang. Who's ready for the track battles? Subscribe to Banking with Billy on YouTube. Join the Discord. Stay on the feed. Over 150 industries, all 11 sectors, one signal, Banking with Billy. Markets that move you. Banking with Billy News. Geopolitics Desk.
The 10-year yields drop to $4.46, and the long bond ETFs rise to $84.92, signal a modest shift toward lower long-term borrowing costs, while the IRX at $3.59 reflects softer short-term rate expectations. Fed headlines, including Stephen Miron's resignation and Bowman's remarks, suggest a leadership transition that could temper aggressive policy signals in the near term. For equity markets, this means a slightly more accommodative backdrop, though the Fed's measured posture still leans cautious. Expect equities to tread lightly, with sectors sensitive to rates, like tech and real estate, potentially catching a modest tailwind. Banking with Billy, the signal in the noise. This week's champion? Tech, up 0.76% to $179.50, flexing its muscle with another solid run. The biggest loser? Real estate, sliding 0.5% to $43.91, still reeling from those data center outages in Lake Tahoe. The rotation story? Money's flowing back into the sectors that actually move the needle, energy and industrials up nearly a full percent, while defensives like consumer staples and utilities hold steady. Watch communication services, up 0.78%, and financials, up 0.47%, for the next leg of this market shuffle.
Ava, we'll turn to you next for the latest on Applied Materials, where U.S. revenue growth has rebounded sharply to 16.5% year-over-year. Let's dig into the charts.
Andrew, here's the read. Applied Materials just flexed its muscle with a 16.5% revenue jump, the kind of growth that screams demand for chips, AI, 5G, the works, while Boston Omaha's latest numbers tell a different story, with a $28.25 million top line but a 7-cent loss per share. It's a tale of two sectors, one riding the tech wave, the other still finding its footing. And that's the tension we're watching today.
Banking with Billy. We don't read the tape. We trade it.
The Clarity Act could rewrite the rules. Pierre Rochard says Bitcoin trading may soon skip KYC and AML checks entirely. Secondary stablecoin markets, like USDC or Tether, could bypass the Bank Secrecy Act, leaving deposit banks exposed. This isn't just regulatory noise. It's a direct threat to institutions already reeling from Basel III and Fed hikes. The message? The financial system's foundations are shaking.
Banking with Billy News, your 24/7 source. All right, let's run the tape on the week's calls. First up, PRSO, still a swing I'm riding, but let's be real, this thing's been a falling knife since I flagged it. The sector's hot, no doubt, but PRSO's execution's been shaky, and the tape's not forgiving. I'm still long, but I've tightened the stop. This isn't a set and forget. Then there's BZFD. That one's a clear win. Byron Allen's family office stepping in with $120 million at $3. That's the kind of catalyst that turns a meme into a momentum play. The tape ripped 132% after hours, and I'm not complaining. Still watching if the deal closes clean, but for now, the proof is in the pudding. Next week, I'm keeping an eye on the AI connectivity names. If the 5G trade stays bid, we could see another leg up. But if the tape rolls over, I'm not married to any of these. This thing's set up for a choppy close, so stay sharp.
Banking with Billy. We don't read the tape. We trade it. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. All-you-can-eat deals are back at restaurants like Red Lobster and Applebee's. Here's how to get your money's worth. Roast My House Reddit. Desperate home sellers are asking strangers for help getting offers. CDC monitoring 41 people for hantavirus. No reported cases. Cuba tells U.S. to lift blockade instead of offering aid as energy crisis worsens. Ballerini survives crash for Naples gyro stage win. That is the Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open. Story of the hour. The nuclear waste industry just got a $500 million vote of confidence. And Perma-Fix just became the poster child for whether America's cleanup ambitions will pay off or collapse under their own weight. For 3 decades, Perma-Fix has quietly handled the most toxic byproducts of the atomic age, spent fuel rods, medical isotopes, the kind of waste that doesn't just sit in a landfill. But now, with the DOE's $6 billion cleanup to clean energy push, the stakes have never been higher. The problem? Past players like Energy Solutions proved that even when the money's there, the regulators, the lawsuits, and the liability can swallow a company whole. Today, Perma-Fix announced a public offering, only for shares to drop 8% on the news, a clear signal that investors aren't sold on the execution risks. The company's pitching itself as the cleanup backbone for America's aging reactors, but the market's asking, who's really on the hook if the plan goes sideways? This isn't just about one stock. It's about whether the nuclear sector's revival can outrun its own history of cost overruns and legal nightmares. Smart money's watching the DOE's next move. If the agency starts shifting cleanup liabilities back to contractors like Perma-Fix, the balance sheets of these firms will tell us if the industry's finally ready. or if we're just kicking the radioactive can down the road. Watch Permafix's roadshow next week and the DOE's fine print. Ava, back to you.
Banking with Billy. Stay with us. The WSL just dropped a bombshell. England's Lauren Shaw is on the Player of the Season shortlist, but South Africa's Mlabikanese doping ban means she'll miss the World Cup, leaving Shaw to carry the Lionesses' torch. Meanwhile, USIC's WBA-approved title defense against Verhoeven is a legacy test, and Mumbai's Bumrah versus Punjab Kings is a high-stakes IPL showdown, strike bowler against a batting lineup desperate to break his 2024 dominance. Next up, the World Cup qualifiers heat up. Can Shaw's WSL form translate to global glory? Coming up, what just hit the wire? Stay with us. The tape, top of the hour.
Good afternoon. The Dow leads with a 0.75% gain at $50,063, while the S&P 500 ETF holds at $748.17, up 0.62%, and the Nasdaq 100 ETF trails at $719.79, up 0.21%. Volatility eases, with the VIX down 3.41% to $17.26. Among tech movers, Nvidia climbs 3.49% to $235.74, while Microsoft adds 1.29% to $409.43, offsetting declines in Apple and Tesla. Ava, we'll turn to you next for the latest on Re-Alpha Tech, which has regained Nasdaq minimum bid price compliance after a period of non-compliance.
Andrew, here's the read. Re-Alpha Tech just dodged a bullet. After years of teetering on the edge of Nasdaq delisting, the company's back in compliance, and investors are taking notice. Meanwhile, Lucid's $44.8 million cash cushion buys it runway deep into 2027, but with EV demand cooling, the clock's ticking on whether its luxury sedans can outrun Tesla's price war. The bigger picture? One's a proptech disruptor with fresh momentum, the other's a premium EV maker fighting for survival, both bets on tech's next wave.
Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open.
Good afternoon. The most consequential development of the day is the two-day summit between former President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, a high-stakes meeting where trade tensions and geopolitical leverage hang in the balance. Meanwhile, tensions in Jerusalem have flared as ultranationalist figures like Itamar Ben-Gvir entered Al-Aqsa during Jerusalem Day, escalating provocations amid an already volatile regional climate. FIFA has also issued a stark warning that a quarter of World Cup matches in Qatar could be impacted by extreme heat, underscoring the growing intersection of climate change and global sporting events. And in New York, city officials have taken a hardline stance against illegal motorbikes, demolishing hundreds in a crackdown on unregulated traffic.
Banking with Billy, where the next breakout is named first. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01, outpacing broader tech amid Bitcoin's rebound towards $70,000. Nvidia adds 3.49% to $235.74, extending gains as AI chip demand remains resilient. Palantir climbs 2.71% to $133.73, tracking momentum in defense and data analytics plays.
Up next, the story of the hour.
The Pentagon just bet $1.2 billion on a Denver startup to outpace China in space. And York Space Systems Q1 numbers could tell us if America's satellite edge is about to collapse. For years, the U.S. treated space like a high-flying luxury, until adversaries turned it into a war zone. After Russia's 2021 anti-satellite test and China's repeated jamming of GPS, the Space Force realized it needed resilient, low-cost satellites fast. York Space, a 15-year-old small satellite manufacturer, became the Pentagon's answer. A SPAC-backed bet to churn out 100-plus satellites by 2025. But scaling production in aerospace isn't like flipping a switch, it's a cash-burn marathon, and the Q1 results dropped today. York Space reported a GAAP net loss of $18.3 million on $42.7 million in revenue, missing Wall Street's modest expectations. But the real story is in the fine print. Bookings surged 40% year-over-year, with $150 million in new contracts, including a $94 million deal for 20 satellites from the Space Development Agency. This isn't just another earnings miss, it's a stress test for America's space industrial base. The booking spike shows demand is there, but the losses reveal the brutal math of rapid scaling. Smart money is watching York's burn rate against its backlog. If it can't turn those contracts into cash flow fast, the Pentagon's 2025 target becomes a pipe dream, and China's satellite fleet keeps gaining ground. Watch York's cash runway next quarter, because if it runs dry before the Space Force's deadline, the next great power space race might already be lost. Ava, your take on the defense tech implications. Up next, Crypto Desk. Andrew, Bitcoin holds above $81,000 as the broader crypto market extends gains, with XRP leading advances at plus 5.48%. Ethereum and Solana trail, up 1.27% and 1.29% respectively, while Cardano adds 2.87%. Live in 24/7, Banking with Billy. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Ulster's Henderson suspended for Challenge Cup final. Trump's big trip was supposed to sell 500 Boeing planes. China is only buying 200 of them. Codex is now available on mobile via ChatGPT app. Ida makes Epsom Derby case with Dante win. Bond market believes Fed behind the curve on inflation as Warsh takes over. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Banking with Billy News. Energy patch.
Boom.
Mbappe and Dembele are locked in for France's 2026 World Cup squad. Talk about a golden generation. Meanwhile, Tavernier's career hangs in the balance after that gut-wrenching injury at Ibrox. And Ancelotti's got Brazil until 2030. Can he finally deliver the Seleção their first World Cup since 2002? Next up, Iran's waiting on those World Cup visas. Will they even make it to the dance?
Coming up, what just hit the wire?
Nano Nuclear Energy just filed the first microreactor construction application in the US, and with $569 million in cash, they're sprinting ahead of the pack. Their Kronos design aligns with 2026 NRC rules, meaning they could set the standard before competitors even break ground. This isn't just another filing, it's the first real move in the $60 billion advanced nuclear race. The energy landscape just changed. Want Billy's real-time stock alerts the moment he posts them? Join the Banking with Billy Discord. Over 150 industries covered across all 11 sectors, with Billy's own conviction calls dropping live. Search Banking with Billy on Discord and join the desk.
Up next, Silicon Valley Desk. Andrew, good afternoon. Netflix's latest move into AI-driven animation signals a tectonic shift in content production, one that could redefine the economics of streaming. Meanwhile, the backlash against AI data centers underscores a growing tension between technological progress and community resistance. And in a stark reminder of the stakes, the first public macOS kernel memory corruption exploit on Apple's M5 chip exposes the vulnerabilities lurking beneath the surface of even the most advanced systems. Coming up, the names lighting up the tape. Good afternoon. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01, outpacing broader tech amid Bitcoin's rebound above $81,000. Nvidia climbs 3.49% to $235.74, extending gains as AI chip demand remains robust. Palantir advances 2.71% to $133.73, tracking continued institutional adoption of its AI-driven analytics platform.
Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk.
Tech leads the charge at $179.50, up 0.76%, while materials lags at $51.67, down 0.58%. Energy and industrials are also in the green, up 0.97% and 0.77% respectively, as investors rotate into cyclicals. Healthcare and consumer discretionary are the notable laggards, down 0.11% and 0.03%, signaling a pullback from defensive plays. The move reflects a midweek rotation into growth-leaning sectors as sentiment stabilizes post-Fed jitters. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Oil's holding above $100 for a reason, $102 and Brent at $106.55, while natural gas spikes 1.78% to $2.92. The energy sector's up nearly a full percent, but the real story isn't just the numbers, it's the ripple effects. From Russia's windfall to Iran's shifting power, the Hormuz crisis is rewriting the rules for everything from Taiwan's grid to your next fill-up. So, how long before this volatility starts pinching wallets beyond the pump?
Ava, we'll turn to you next for the latest on TPGRE Finance Trust's $500 million financing deal, a move that underscores the commercial real estate sector's cautious but strategic liquidity maneuvers.
Andrew, here's the read. TPGRE Finance Trust just locked down a $500 million lifeline, $500 million to be exact, to pay off old debts and buy itself more time in this stubbornly high-rate world. Meanwhile, Hugh Biopharma's latest numbers are a stark reminder of the math behind biotech's Highwire Act, a loss of $1.08 per share on $5.68 million in revenue. The question now is whether the market's patience for these kinds of bets is running out, or if the next pipeline breakthrough is just around the corner.
Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open.
Good afternoon. Devin from Miami is joining us today with a quick question about his portfolio. He's asking about a call option on Dell, wondering if now's the time to act or if he should hold tight. I'd say it's worth a closer look. Dell's had a wild ride lately, so timing matters.
Up next, breaking from the news desk. On the desk this hour, ticker AT&M. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
The PGA Championship is already delivering drama. Kaymer and Thomas tied at 6 under after round 1, while Scheffler lurks just 2 back. Meanwhile, Jamali Riddle's arrest on drug and speeding charges in Georgia has the sports world buzzing, and the nation talking about fentanyl's deadly grip. And in the NBA, the Warriors are rolling the dice on their draft pick, hoping Giannis doesn't bolt, because this franchise's future just got a whole lot more unpredictable. Next up, can Scheffler claw back into contention, or is this the year the torch passes?
On the desk this hour, ticker AT&M. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Up next, Crypto Desk.
Andrew, Bitcoin consolidates above $81,250, up 2% on the session, while Ethereum follows with a 1.36% gain to $2,293. Solana and XRP lead mid-tier movers, up 1.51% and 5.26% respectively, with Cardano adding 2.82% at 27 cents. Banking with Billy Radio, built for traders by traders. Actinium Pharmaceuticals, trading under the ticker AT&M, was highlighted 29 days ago for its late-stage oncology pipeline, including the Phase 3 completion of Iomab-B, a $30 million float biotech play with multiple catalysts and $40 million in cash. The stock's trajectory has since tracked the typical path of pre-approval biotech names, volatile swings on rumor and data, with a muted response to the Sierra trial's completion given the binary nature of regulatory outcomes. Today, the focus shifts to whether any residual momentum persists ahead of potential commercialization timelines. Coming up, politics on a brief. Good afternoon. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand has sharply criticized HUD Secretary Ben Carson's testimony, arguing his remarks on housing policy fail to address rising homelessness in key urban centers ahead of the 2024 election. Meanwhile, overdose deaths increased in 8 states last year, including battlegrounds like Pennsylvania and Michigan, intensifying pressure on both parties to address the fentanyl crisis. In a separate development, independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s claim of operating a robotic arm has been debunked, raising further questions about his campaign's factual accuracy. Former Connecticut State Senator Aaron Stewart has also withdrawn from the governor's race, reshaping the state's political landscape.
When the tape moves, Billy moves first. Banking with Billy alerts have called breakouts before the rest of the street even shows up. Get the alerts. Get the radio. Banking with Billy. Coming up, a deep dive on the day's biggest move. The swamp just got a little murkier, and this time, the alligator's wearing a red tie. For years, Donald Trump's presidency was defined by his vow to drain the swamp, to sever the ties between power and profit. But now, his first ethics filing since 2016, just dropped, reveals stock trades directly linked to the US market, a move that's less about liquidity and more about optics. With Trump leading the GOP polls and a 2024 rematch looming, these trades aren't just financial footnotes, they're a political Molotov cocktail, handed straight to his opponents on a silver platter. Here's what just happened. Trump's ethics filing, obtained by NBC, shows transactions tied to his post-presidency portfolio, including trades in U.S. stocks. The timing couldn't be worse for a man who built his brand on the idea that he alone could break the system's corrupt cycle. And let's be clear, this isn't about legality. It's about credibility. The man who once railed against insider trading is now the one whose portfolio moves are under the microscope. What this tells us about the tape. Smart money isn't just watching the Fed's next move, it's watching the man who might be the next president. Every trade, every disclosure, every conflict of interest is now a data point in the market's calculation of political risk. And if Trump's past is any guide, expect more headlines, more scrutiny, and more volatility ahead. So keep your eyes on the filing's fine print and on the polls. Because the next chapter of this story won't be written in the boardroom. It'll be written in the voting booth. Andrew, back to you. Coming up, which sectors are leading, which are lagging?
Andrew, tech at $179.50, up 0.76%, leads the advance, while consumer discretionary at $118.67, down 0.03%, trails the pack. Financials at $51.29, up 0.47%, and energy at $58.07, up 0.97%, show resilience, but healthcare at $146.63, down 0.11%, remains under pressure. Industrials at $174.51, up 0.77%, round out the gains. Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk.
Good afternoon, I'm Ava. Over in Europe, equities are pulling back after yesterday's gains, with the Stoxx 600 down 0.4% as investors digest mixed signals from the ECB's latest guidance and fresh data on German factory orders. The dollar is steady against the euro at $1.085, while the yen remains under pressure near 157 per dollar as traders weigh the Bank of Japan's cautious stance. And globally, the macro picture is still dominated by geopolitical tensions. Sudan's humanitarian crisis deepens, and the Trump administration's $1.8 billion aid pledge to the UN underscores the strain on global resources.
Up next, the macro red.
The dollar's steady grind lower amid the 10-year yield slide to 4.46% suggests traders are hedging against a Fed that may blink sooner than expected. Treasuries are the quiet winners here, with the long bond ETF at $84.92 as investors park cash and duration before SpaceX's potential IPO next week threatens to steal the spotlight. The S&P 500's modest gain to $748.17 reflects that tech's muscle isn't enough to offset broader caution, especially when a single hantavirus scare could ripple through rural supply chains. History says markets ignore public health risks until they can't, so watch the CDC's updates like a hawk.
Banking with Billy. Stay with us. Breaking now. CIA Director John Ratcliffe met Cuban officials in Havana today, the first high-level U.S. intelligence talks in decades, a potential thaw in Cold War-era tensions. The meeting comes as Cuba's geopolitical weight grows amid U.S.-China rivalry in the Caribbean, where Havana's intelligence ties to Moscow, Caracas, and Beijing make it a silent power broker. With Cuba's economy crippled by sanctions and protests erupting in July 2021, Ratcliffe's visit could be a lifeline or a Cuban gambit to extract concessions. The stakes: U.S. national security, regional stability, and countering Beijing's expanding influence just 90 miles from Florida. Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open. Good afternoon. Inhibrx Biosciences reports a GAAP loss of $2.15 per share, while the Glimpse Group posts a GAAP loss of 60 cents per share with revenue of $657 million. Safety Shot has released its Q1 results. No further guidance was provided. We'll return with Ava for a deeper look at sector trends. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Tired of headlines 12 hours late? Banking with Billy News covers over 150 industries across all 11 GICS sectors in real time. Stocks, politics, economy, geopolitics, one desk, one signal. Banking with Billy. Subscribe on YouTube. Join the Discord.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.46%, down 4.5 basis points, signals modest easing in long-term borrowing costs, while the ICE BofA Move Index at 3.59% reflects subdued implied volatility in rates markets. The long bond ETF's uptick to $84.92 suggests some rotation into duration-sensitive assets, though the move remains contained. Against this backdrop, Fed headlines, ranging from China auto tariff warnings to crypto regulatory progress, add incremental noise without altering the central bank's data-dependent stance. For equities, the lower yield environment supports valuation expansion, particularly for rate-sensitive sectors, but the absence of a clear dovish pivot keeps the Fed's next move contingent on incoming inflation and labor data. Live on Banking with Billy. Markets are open. Ava will have the details on today's record-breaking market close and the curious link to Beijing after the break.
Andrew, here's the read. Wall Street is riding high today. Stocks just closed at record highs, with the Dow topping 50,000 for the first time ever. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 aren't far behind, both hitting fresh peaks, and analysts are pointing to President Trump's reported breakthrough in Beijing as the fuel behind the surge. Eric Doherty, who's been tracking this rally, says the market's betting that any U.S.-China deal could be the kind of win that keeps the good times rolling.
Up next, breaking from the news desk.
Banking with Billy News. Tech Desk.
All right, let's keep this moving. No time to rehash the old stuff. PRSO's still a swing I'm riding. But let's be real. The microcap semis have been a mixed bag this week. BZFD, absolute rocket fuel after that Byron Allen money, 132% after hours, family office taking control. That's the kind of move that makes you question whether you're trading or just watching a movie. Still, I'm not chasing it. The tape's telling me to stay selective. Next up, I'm watching the AI connectivity plays, specifically the ones tied to 5G and mmWave. The big boys are still printing, but the little guys? Lottery tickets. One more thing. If NVIDIA sneezes, the whole semis complex catches a cold. Keep an eye on that. Banking with Billy. Markets, news, alerts, one feed.
The Wire. 5 headlines right now. Noon Jinx exploit. 2026 Preakness Stakes predictions, horses, odds, posts, date. Surprising picks from elite horse racing expert. Cisco. LinkedIn to cut thousands of jobs in latest tech layoffs. Priyansh Arya and Prabhsimran Singh script history versus MI become first uncapped pair in IPL2. AirJoule Technologies Corporation gap EPS of minus 74 cents. That is The Wire on banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Stay with us. The full story after the break.
Gold is at record highs, but one Nevada miner just posted a profit so thin it's practically a rounding error, 19 cents per share, while raking in just $17.4 million in revenue. So why is Comstock Holdings, a company that's dug its way through decades of boom-bust cycles, suddenly looking like a house of cards? This isn't just another mining stock stumbling, it's a warning flare. Comstock's been in Nevada's gold game since the 1980s, riding every cycle from the dot-com bubble to the 2008 crash. But now, with gold flirting with $2,400 an ounce, their numbers tell a different story. They're barely scraping by. Aging mines, stubborn costs, and a credit market that's tightening faster than a noose. This is survival mode for a company that's supposed to be a play on the yellow metals rally. Comstock just reported GAAP earnings of 19 cents EPS on $17.4 million in revenue. Numbers that scream, barely profitable, in an industry where the top players are printing billions. And here's the kicker. Their operations in Nevada, once the backbone of their business, are now looking more like a liability than an asset. What this tells us is that the gold rush isn't lifting all boats, just the ones with the best engines. Smart money isn't just watching the price of gold anymore, they're watching who can actually profit from it. Comstock's weak numbers are a flashing red sign that the easy pickings are over, and the miners who can't cut costs or innovate are going to get left behind. So keep your eyes on Comstock's next move, because if they can't turn this around, Nevada's mining landscape might just get a major shakeup. Back to Andrew for the next play.
Banking with Billy Radio, markets, news, alerts. Sports update. Arsenal's €90 million pursuit of a Real Madrid superstar could be the blockbuster transfer that reignites their Champions League dreams. Mikel Arteta's squad desperate to erase last season's heartbreak. Meanwhile, Tyler Adams credits fatherhood for taming his World Cup pressure, a revelation that's reshaping U.S. soccer's mental game. And Lisa Leslie is getting a statue outside Sparks Arena. WNBA history made permanent. Next up, the PGA Championship's first round tees off with Rory McIlroy firing a brutal first word. Let's see if he can back it up. Up next, breaking from the news desk. Banking with Billy News. Geopolitics desk.
The Dow's pushing past 50,000, $50,063 up 0.75%, while the S&P 500 ETF holds at $748.17, up 0.62%. The VIX is easing back under 18 at $17.26, down 3.41%. Nvidia is still flexing at $235.74, up 3.49%, but Apple's slipping 0.12% to $298.21.
Ava, we'll have the full details on Allied Gold's non-GAAP earnings after the break.
Andrew, here's the read. Allied Gold just posted non-GAAP EPS of 39 cents on $394.11 million in revenue, numbers that tell a story of resilience in a market where gold's near-record highs are making every ounce count. Meanwhile, BTB's 30 million Canadian dollar equity program is a high-stakes gamble, a last-ditch effort to dodge the refinancing while crashing down on commercial real estate by 2025. The clock's ticking, and these moves could either cement Allied's expansion or sink BTB before the next rate hike.
Coming up, what just hit the wire?
Up next, the World Desk.
World news headlines. Cautious optimism in Lebanon as direct talks with Israel progress. Iran's FM urges BRIC states to condemn U.S.-Israeli aggression. Jerome Powell. Steering the U.S. Fed through COVID-19 and political pressures. Trump administration pledges $1.8 billion in additional humanitarian aid to UN. Up next, today's biggest movers. Good afternoon. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01. Nvidia climbs 3.49% to $235.74. And Palantir advances 2.71% to $133.73, all outperforming in today's after-hour session. Microsoft adds 1.29% to $409.43, while Amazon slips 1.14% to $267.22, trailing the broader tech advance. Momentum in crypto-linked equities and AI plays continues to drive the upside. Stay with us. The full story after the break.
Carl Radke is a mess, and that's exactly why this reunion matters. For years, the Carl vs. Kyle feud has been the slow-burning fuse of Summer House, a feud that started in Season 2's explosive drama and has since simmered like a reality TV time bomb. But now, with Carl and Kyle's latest video, titled Carl's a Mess, dropping just hours ago, the fuse might be lit. Because when two of Bravo's most volatile personalities collide in a reunion, the network doesn't just get ratings, it gets a cultural moment, or a spectacular flop. The stakes? Everything from Bravo's future to whether this franchise survives its own toxicity. And here's what just happened. Carl Radke, fresh off rehab and visibly emotional, posted a video where he admitted he's a mess. A direct shot at Kyle Cook, who's been quietly building his own empire while Carl's been in and out of trouble. The clip's already at 1.2 million views, and the comment section is a war zone of fans picking sides. So what does this tell us? That Summer House isn't just a show anymore, it's a brand in crisis. The reunion could either give fans the closure they've begged for, or it could detonate what's left of the franchise's credibility. Smart Money's watching to see if Bravo greenlights a Season 7, or if they finally pull the plug before the next scandal goes viral. Next up, we'll hand it to Andrew to break down what this means for the streaming wars, because if Summer House flames out, someone's about to make a fortune off the ashes.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. Bitcoin holds above $81,000, extending its rebound with a 2.22% gain, while Ethereum consolidates near $2,300. Solana and XRP lead mid-tier movers, up 1.69% and 5.73% respectively, as altcoin sentiment stabilizes after yesterday's volatility.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
The Wire, 5 headlines right now. P3 Health Partners GAAP EPS of 32 cents beats by $3.60. Revenue of $386 million misses by $5.5 million. Leaked images reveal Xbox Elite 3 controller with mysterious new buttons. UFC's Dana White urges Trump to reverse gambling tax law. His letter moved the prediction market. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks resigns. Acute hunger grips nearly 20 million people in war-battered Sudan, says IPC. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Banking with Billy. We don't read the tape. We trade it.
Sports update. The Brewers flex their muscle. Freddie Rengifo drives in 3. Brandon Harrison tosses 5 shutout innings. And Milwaukee crushes the Padres 7-1 in a statement win. Meanwhile, Manchester City's U18's edge Manchester United 2-1 in the FA Youth Cup final, proving the next generation's dominance. And the Packers lock in rookie CB Brandon Cisse, completing their 2026 draft class as Green Bay turns the page after last season's struggles. Next up, the NFL schedule drops, and the Preakness 2026 odds are out with Top Iron Honor and Taj Mahal leading the charge. The stakes couldn't be higher. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
We're watching a biotech explosion right now. Ticker HCWB surging 66% after HCW Biologics validated tissue factor as a cancer target, a potential game changer in solid tumor treatment. Ticker VIYA is also up 43% on FI 2025 results, proving cloud-based HR tech is back in vogue as companies scramble for scalable talent solutions. And don't sleep on ticker LUNR. Hedge funds dropped $1.8 million on call sweeps ahead of earnings, betting on the same tissue factor breakthrough. This isn't just a rally, it's a paradigm shift in oncology and labor tech. Fasten your seatbelts.
Tired of headlines 12 hours late? Banking with Billy News covers over 150 industries across all 11 GCS sectors in real time. Stocks, politics, economy, geopolitics, one desk, one signal. Banking with Billy. Subscribe on YouTube. Join the Discord. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. The pace of innovation in Silicon Valley is accelerating, with both breakthroughs and cautionary tales making headlines today. A new policy from AR-14 imposes a 1-year ban for papers with hallucinated references, underscoring the growing scrutiny on AI-generated research. Meanwhile, the RISC-V router emerges as a potential disruptor in open-source chip design, while Terranox AI, a Y Combinator Winter 2026 cohort company, announces hiring for foundational roles in AI and machine learning.
Coming up, the names lighting up the tape.
Coinbase advances 5.06% to $212.01. NVIDIA climbs 3.49% to $235.74. And Palantir gains 2.71% to $133.73. tech bellwethers leading the charge as liquidity tightens into the close. Microsoft adds 1.29% to $409.43, while Amazon slips 1.14% to $267.22, weighed by renewed margin concerns in retail. The tape remains bifurcated, but the Nasdaq's resilience suggests defensive rotation isn't yet warranted.
After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
Tech led today's sector rotation, up 0.76% to $179.50, while real estate lagged, down 0.5% to $43.91. Energy and industrials also gained ground, up 0.97% and 0.77% respectively, as investors chased cyclical strength. Healthcare and consumer discretionary slipped, down 0.11% and 0.03%, reflecting defensive positioning. The rotation suggests a shift toward growth and reflation trades, with money rotating out of defensives and into sectors poised for expansion. Up next, the energy desk.
Oil's holding steady above $100 for a reason. $102.06 today, up 0.5%, while natural gas just keeps climbing, now at $2.92. That's a 1.85% jump. And it's not just a blip. China's nuclear build-out, 34 gigawatts in a decade, is reshaping the energy chessboard. But here's the kicker. If oil keeps surging, gasoline demand in China could take a 5.5% hit by 2026. So, are we looking at a supply squeeze or a demand crunch next?
Ava will have the full details on Inventure's GAAP earnings beat after the break.
Andrew, here's the read. Inventure's latest numbers tell a tale of two cities, beating earnings estimates by 15 cents on a minus 27 cents GAAP EPS, but missing revenue by $200,000 with just $1.44 million in sales. Meanwhile, Guardian Short Duration Bond Fund just declared a 4.06 cent CAD dividend, riding the wave of higher short-term yields. So while one's cutting costs to stay afloat, the other's betting on stability, both telling us something about where the money's flowing right now. Banking with Billy. Stay with us. Good afternoon. Lisa in Phoenix is joining us today with a quick question about her Dell call. She's asking about that Dell call she's holding, wondering if it's still worth riding out or if she should lock in those gains. I'd say if you're up big, it never hurts to take some off the table. Stay with us, fresh from the feeds. Banking with Billy News. Sector Watch.
Sports update. The Twins dismantled the Marlins 9-1 behind a dominant pitching performance, while John Rahm's PGA Championship opener took a bizarre turn, hitting a volunteer with a divot, drawing a rare penalty, and sparking fresh debates over course safety. Austin Barber could be the Cleveland Browns' long-term answer at right tackle, but the Browns' Super Bowl window hinges on protecting Deshaun Watson's blind side in a brutal AFC North slate. Next up, the NBA Draft Lottery, where fortunes will shift in an instant.
Up next, Silicon Valley Desk.
Good afternoon. Meta's Ray-Ban display glasses are bringing virtual writing to the masses, a move that could redefine how we interact with our devices. Meanwhile, Infracost is hiring a senior developer advocate to make cloud cost optimization smarter with AI agents. And in a rare win for web governance, Amazon Bot is now respecting robots.txt, proof that even the giants are tightening their digital housekeeping.
Up next, Crypto Desk. All right, let's keep this tight. Bitcoin's pushing $81,000, up 2.35%, and Ethereum's tagging along at $2,296, up 1.77%. But here's the kicker. XRP's the real mover today, up 5.67% to $1.50. Solana and Cardano? Steady climbs, nothing flashy. Sentiment? Cautiously optimistic. Traders are nibbling, not feasting. Just another Thursday in crypto, where the numbers do the talking.
This is Banking with Billy. Every move, every minute. Actinium Pharmaceuticals, or ticker ATNM, was highlighted 29 days ago as a biotech play with a lean float, late-stage catalysts, and a cash position of $40 million ahead of its AACR presentation. The stock's trajectory likely mirrored its peers, volatile swings on speculative volume, with the Phase 3 Sierra data for IOMAB-B serving as the primary catalyst. Today, the focus shifts to whether the AACR abstracts provided the clarity needed to sustain momentum beyond the initial spike. Up next, Washington Desk. Good afternoon. Jeff Landry, Louisiana's Attorney General, is campaigning aggressively in the state's GOP Senate primary, a race that could further consolidate conservative control ahead of the 2026 cycle. Meanwhile, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is promoting a new Fazio-designed golf course in the Washington, D.C. area, positioning it as both championship quality and affordable a move that underscores his broader appeal as a potential vice presidential contender. Separately, declassified documents have revived scrutiny of the CIA's MKUltra program, with lawmakers now pressing for renewed oversight on intelligence ethics and historical accountability. The program's resurfacing comes as modern surveillance debates intensify.
This is Banking with Billy Radio, 24/7, no commercial breaks from anyone but us, no paid sponsors picking what you hear. Just markets, news, and Billy's own conviction calls. Banking with Billy, the signal. From the desk to your ears, Banking with Billy.
The space race isn't just about stars, it's about survival. For decades, the aerospace sector thrived on government largesse and defense contracts. But now, as private players like Rocket Lab and Momentus push into orbital logistics, the margins are razor thin, and the clock is ticking. Citus Space, a Florida-based satellite services firm, just posted a GAAP loss of 8 cents per share on just $360,000 in revenue, a figure that underscores the brutal math of competing in an industry where even a single launch can make or break a balance sheet. With NASA's Artemis program and Pentagon contracts up for grabs, Citus' financial strain isn't just a footnote. It's a warning shot for investors betting on the next wave of space infrastructure. The smart money is watching whether Carol Craig's team can pivot from R&D to revenue before the runway runs out. Next, Ava breaks down the after-hours tape, where the real money is moving.
Up next, Sector Spotlight. Tech's holding at $179.50, up 0.76%. Still the leader, but barely. Financials are crawling at $51.29, up just 0.47%, while energy's sprinting at $58.07, up 0.97%. Meanwhile, healthcare's flatlining at $146.63, down 0.11%, and consumer discretionary's barely breathing at $118.67, down 0.03%. Industrials? Steady at $174.51, up 0.77%. So, who's actually moving the needle today?
Banking with Billy News. Energy Patch. Good afternoon. European equities close lower, with the stock's 600 down 0.45%, led by declines in energy and financials, while the FTSE 100 underperformed at minus 0.68%. The euro slipped 0.32% against the dollar to $1.0812, pressured by dovish ECB commentary, while the yen weakened 0.41% to 155 yen and 80 son amid persistent policy divergence. In macro, Cuba's deepening fuel crisis, marked by 22-hour blackouts, threatens further economic contraction, while geopolitical tensions in East Jerusalem escalated as the Israeli flag march resumed, overshadowing regional stability.
Banking with Billy. Stay with us.
The S&P 500 ETF's modest 0.62% gain masks a bifurcation beneath the surface, where cyclical pressures in discretionary sectors like golf, evidenced by Newton Golf's 33% EPS miss and 34% revenue shortfall, clash with AI-driven optimism in e-commerce, as Thrive Capital's $100 million bet on Shopify's automation initiative suggests. Treasury yields remain anchored near recent lows, reflecting a market consensus that the Federal Reserve's pause will persist into year-end, though any resurgence in inflation data could quickly unravel that assumption. Manatech's $24.92 million revenue and 49 cents EPS underscore the resilience of niche wellness brands, a sector where pricing power has outlasted broader consumer retrenchment. The dollar stability, meanwhile, suggests traders are pricing in a soft landing scenario, but the equity rally's narrow breadth, amid such divergent corporate performances, hints at fragility beneath the surface. After hours on Banking with Billy. Today's tape recapped. Banking with Billy News. Tech Desk.
Good afternoon. Let's keep this tight. CapsoVision posts a GAAP loss of 15 cents per share on $2.8 million in revenue, both falling short of estimates. KinderCare surprises to the upside with non-GAAP EPS of 4 cents on $672.52 million in revenue, while Jefferson Capital delivers non-GAAP EPS of 73 cents on $176.4 million in revenue. Zspace has also reported its Q1 results. Details to follow.
After hours on Banking with Billy. Today's tape recapped. Sports update. Juventus lands a Europa League finalist bid. Massimiliano Allegri's men are one win away from ending a 25-year Champions League absence. Liverpool's inching closer to Feyenoord's onslaught. But can the Dutch mastermind deliver where others have failed? Manchester United's hunting Declan Rice, but Arsenal's not giving up without a fight. This transfer window's a full contact sport. Next up, the Taj Mahal's prep for the 2026 Preakness. Horse racing's back with a bang.
This is Banking with Billy Radio, 24/7, no commercial breaks from anyone but us. No paid sponsors picking what you hear. Just markets, news, and Billy's own conviction calls. Banking with Billy. The Signal.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. The 10-year Treasury yield at $4.46, down 0.45%. Alongside the IRX at $3.59, down 0.33%, signals easing long-term borrowing costs, while the long bond ETF at $84.92, up 0.08%, reflects modest demand for duration. These moves suggest the market is pricing in a more accommodative Fed posture, though no policy shift has been signaled. For equities, lower yields typically support valuation multiples, particularly for rate-sensitive sectors like technology and real estate. Absent explicit Fed guidance, today's rates desk dynamics remain tethered to macro data, not headline-driven narratives.
Banking with Billy News. The Street in your headphones.
Good afternoon. This week's sector tournament champion is communication services, returning 0.78%, narrowly edging out tech's 0.76% gain. The biggest loser? Real estate, down 0.5%, continuing its prolonged underperformance amid rising long-term yields. The rotation story remains clear. Defensive sectors like utilities and staples lag as investors favored high beta plays in tech and comms, while real estate sensitivity to rate hikes kept it in the red. Watch Energy, up 0.97%, for further upside on geopolitical tailwinds, and healthcare, down just 0.11%, as a potential value play if the sector stabilizes. Ava, we've got the story on Scholastic's latest licensing play. Dragon Ball Super Activity books hitting shelves, with a coloring book out now and a sticker book on the way.
Andrew, here's the read. Scholastic's new Dragon Ball Super coloring book isn't just for nostalgia. It's a Gen Alpha power move, with a sticker book already in the pipeline. Meanwhile, the Clarity Act's draft language lands with a splash. Crypto developers would need specific intent to face charges, a direct response to the SEC's post-2022 crackdown. The vote's coming before Memorial Day, and if it passes, it could rewrite the rules for innovation in a market still recovering from last year's crash.
Tape doesn't sleep. Neither do we. Banking with Billy. You're with Banking with Billy Radio. Don't touch that dial. All right, let's keep this tight. No time for fluff. PRSO's still the swing I called out, and honestly, still a coin flip. The semiconductor space is ripping, but microcaps like this, they're the falling knives until they're not. I'm still in, but I'm not married to it. BZFD, absolute rocket fuel. Byron Allen dropping $120 million at $3 to take control? That's the tape telling you this thing's set up. I nailed the call up big in after hours, family office, stepping in with real money. Still watching, but I'm not selling into strength here. Next up, I'm laser focused on the AI connectivity names, who's shipping real product, who's just riding the hype. The ones with actual revenue wins are the ones I want to own when the next leg kicks off. Stay sharp.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Meta brings virtual writing to everyone with Meta Ray-Ban display glasses. Cuba plunged deeper into fuel crisis amid 22-hour blackouts. Interfor Gap EPS of minus 96 cents, revenue of 643.2 million Canadian dollars. Giants, UDFA CB Thaddeus Dixon suffers Achilles injury. Retail investors have a new toy for speculation, Barclays says. That is the Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. The first quarterly loss in years for a lumber giant isn't just a red flag. It's the sound of an entire industry's foundation cracking under the weight of a housing market that's grinding to a halt. For decades, Canadian lumber producers like Interfor thrived on the relentless demand of North America's housing boom. But rising interest rates have turned that engine into a liability. With mortgage costs at generational highs, home builders are slashing orders, and lumber prices have slumped to their lowest levels in 3 years, erasing margins that once seemed unassailable. This isn't just a blip. It's the latest domino in a sector-wide reckoning that's already forced competitors like West Fraser and Canfor into survival mode. Interfor's latest quarterly report lays bare the damage. A GAAP loss of minus 96 cents per share on 643.2 million Canadian dollars in revenue, the first negative EPS in years. That's not just a balance sheet in retreat, it's a warning siren for British Columbia's forestry towns, where mill closures and layoffs are no longer hypothetical. The take is clear. This isn't a temporary slowdown, it's a structural shift. Smart money is watching the ripple effects. How long until Inter4's peers follow suit? How deep will the job cuts go in communities that have banked on this industry for generations? The tape is flashing red, and the Fed's rate hikes are the match. Watch Inter4's next earnings call and the lumber futures curve for the first signs of whether this is a sectoral storm or the new normal. Ava, back to you. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
Live and 24/7, Banking with Billy.
A shooting targeting drivers in Cambridge, Massachusetts, has left at least 3 wounded. Authorities confirm the suspect is a repeat offender with a violent history. Former NYPD Detective Paul D. Morrow calls the incident a preventable tragedy, blaming systemic gaps that allow recidivists to evade accountability. The case reignites debate over bail reform and mental health oversight in Massachusetts, where recent policy shifts face fresh scrutiny. This is a stark reminder that policy decisions have real-world consequences.
Stay with us. The tape, top of the hour.
Good afternoon. The Dow leads with a 0.75% gain to $50,063, while the S&P 500 ETF holds at $748.17, up 0.62%, and the Nasdaq 100 ETF follows at $719.79, up 0.21%. Volatility eases, with the VIX at $17.26, down 3.41%. Among tech movers, NVIDIA advances 3.49% to $235.74, while Microsoft climbs 1.29% to $409.43. Ava, we got the story on how Gemini's stock surged after their Q1 earnings topped expectations, backed by a fresh investment from Winklevoss Capital Fund.
Picking up where you left off, Andrew. Stardust Power just handed investors a fresh reminder of why renewable energy stocks can be so volatile, missing Q1 GAAP EPS by 36 cents at a loss of 53 cents per share. That's a sharp contrast to the forecast of a 39-cent loss, and it's putting pressure on a company that was once a darling of the clean energy boom. With the Inflation Reduction Act subsidies on the line and Q2 earnings just around the corner, this miss could freeze funding and reshape the sector's competitive landscape. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
Coming up, the global headlines that matter. Good afternoon. The Israeli flag march's return to East Jerusalem has heightened tensions in the region, with hardline factions testing the limits of a fragile ceasefire. Meanwhile, Iraq's parliament has approved a new government led by Ali al-Zaidi, a move that signals Baghdad's shifting alliances amid waning U.S. influence. In Cuba, worsening fuel shortages have triggered blackouts and rare protests, deepening economic instability. And in a broader strategic shift, Iran has called on BRICS nations to condemn U.S.-Israeli actions, underscoring the shifting geopolitical fault lines. From the desk to your ears, Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01 on renewed crypto sentiment after Bitcoin's latest ETF inflows. NVIDIA climbs 3.49% to $235.74, extending its post-earnings momentum as AI chip demand remains robust. Palantir adds 2.71% to $133.73, tracking defense sector strength amid geopolitical headlines. Microsoft gains 1.29% to $409.43, while Amazon slips 1.14% to $267.22 on profit-taking after yesterday's rally.
Banking with Billy. Stay with us.
Story of the hour. The counterterrorism czar just went to war with a man who sells tinfoil hats, and the market is listening. Sebastian Gorka's tenure as Trump's counterterrorism czar was already a flashpoint, his past ties to Hungarian far-right factions and incendiary rhetoric making him a lightning rod in national security circles. But when FBI whistleblower Kyle Serafin leveled explosive claims, alleging bureau misconduct that could erode public trust in federal law enforcement, the stage was set for a collision between Gorka's hardline national security posture and the conspiracy-fueled megaphone of Alex Jones. Jones, never one to shy from a fight, fired back at Gorka this afternoon, amplifying the feud into a live-wire moment where fringe rhetoric and counterterrorism policy aren't just intersecting, they're colliding. And now the tape is moving. Gorka's latest interview, where he framed Serafin's allegations as a potential deep state attack, has sent chatter across the national security and financial wires. The question isn't just whether Serafin's claims hold water. It's whether the spectacle itself is reshaping how markets price geopolitical risk, counterterrorism credibility, and the very stability of U.S. institutions. What this tells us is that the old rules no longer apply. National security isn't just about drones and diplomacy anymore. It's about who controls the narrative. And when the counterterrorism czar and the InfoWars kingpin lock horns, the market doesn't just react. It anticipates. Watch the next move. If Gorka's allies in Congress start calling for hearings, the tape won't just twitch, it'll snap. Ava, back to you.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Bruce Blakeman's solar phase. MIT president says research has shrunk 10% in 1 year amid Trump cuts. HCW Biologics GAAP EPS of 37 cents beats by 81 cents. Revenue of $6.53 million. Work with Codex from anywhere. Yemen government. Houthis to release more than 1,600 POWs in largest swap. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this. Banking with Billy News. Breaking story.
Jannik Sinner just rewrote history in Rome, shattering Djokovic's decade-old record with a masterclass on clay. Meanwhile, Viktor Hovland and Xander Schauffele are co-leading round 1 at Oak Hill, proving golf's next generation is ready to take over. And with LeBron James' next move looming, Lakers reunion or Luka Doncic trade, this offseason could rewrite the NBA's future. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. FIG just sent the market a message. FIG raises 2026 revenue guidance after a 46% year-over-year surge, the kind of growth that turns heads in a crowded fintech space. The jump, driven by AI lending and fintech partnerships, comes as scrutiny over credit risk peaks, making this update a high-stakes test for investor trust. FIG's move signals confidence, but the question now is whether the bet on risk pays off as rates climb. This isn't just growth, it's a bet on the future of lending.
When the tape moves, Billy moves first. Banking with Billy alerts have called breakouts before the rest of the street even shows up. Get the alerts. Get the radio. Banking with Billy.
After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
Good afternoon. The latest from Silicon Valley. A cautionary tale of operational oversight after fired hacker twins left a team's call running, inadvertently recording their own criminal admissions, an incident that underscores the fragility of digital footprints. Meanwhile, Tesla's wall connector now faces a bootloader bypass, raising questions about firmware security in an era of rapid EV infrastructure deployment. And with innovation moving at this pace, one thing remains clear. The line between breakthrough and breach is thinner than ever.
Coming up, the names lighting up the tape.
Good afternoon. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01 on renewed crypto sentiment after Bitcoin's latest ETF inflows. Nvidia climbs 3.49% to $235.74, extending gains on AI chip demand ahead of next week's earnings. Palantir advances 2.71% to $133.73 following fresh Pentagon contract speculation. Microsoft adds 1.29% to $409.43, while Amazon slips 1.14% to $267.22 on mixed retail sentiment. Ava, you move.
Coming up, where the money's flowing today.
Good afternoon. The tech sector led today's rotation, up 0.76% to $179.50, while healthcare lagged with a 0.11% decline to $146.63. Industrials and energy also posted solid gains, up 0.77% and 0.97%, respectively, suggesting a late-day shift into value and cyclicals. Consumer discretionary and materials weighed on the tape, down 0.03% and 0.58%, as defensive sectors like utilities and staples held ground. The move reflects a rotation out of defensives and into growth-leaning cyclicals as the session wound down.
From the desk to your ears, Banking with Billy.
Good afternoon. Crude oil holds above $102 at $102.02, up 0.66%, while Brent follows at $106.55, up 0.64%, as traders weigh OPEC's latest supply signals against global demand signals. Natural gas climbs 1.92% to $2.92, reflecting tightening storage levels ahead of peak summer drawdowns. The energy sector advances 0.97% to $58.07, underscoring oil's pivotal role in anchoring broader market sentiment. Ava, we'll hear from a retiree who nearly made a costly mistake by claiming Social Security at 64 instead of 70. Let's find out why so many Americans are leaving money on the table.
Andrew, here's the read. New Holdings, Latin America's digital banking giant, just took a hit after its Q1 numbers came in lighter than expected, with shares sliding despite still posting growth. The miss wasn't a collapse, but it was enough to rattle investors who've been betting big on Nu's ability to outpace rivals like BTG Pactual and Itaú while keeping credit risk in check. At $40 billion in market cap, this isn't just a stumble. It's a test of whether Nu can keep its fintech crown as Brazil's economy slows and digital adoption cools.
This is Banking with Billy. Every move, every minute. Good afternoon from Austin, Texas. Tony, thank you for your message. You're asking about the ticker DELL call, noting the stock's recent volatility and whether the long-term thesis still holds. Given Dell's exposure to both enterprise demand and consumer PC cycles, the call's risk-reward profile warrants close monitoring. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. The U.S. Senate Banking Committee just approved a bipartisan crypto measure in a 15-9 vote. Stuart Alderdi of Ripple calling it a watershed moment for digital asset policy. Meanwhile, a courthouse shooting in Tennessee, where stand-your-ground law applies, has escalated tensions between crypto enforcement and Second Amendment rights. The bill's progress could redefine financial innovation, while the Tennessee incident exposes legal gray areas testing America's justice system. This is Andrew, standby for Ava.
Banking with Billy News. The Mover Board.
Sports update. The Packers just landed rookie W.R. Brandon Cisse, adding firepower after a brutal injury-riddled season. But the move hinges on whether Aaron Rodgers sticks around in Green Bay. Meanwhile, pole vaulter Matthew Portillo soars into the spotlight as Wisconsin track star shines while the Packers struggle. Talk about a tale of two sports. And in Milwaukee, Miles Turner's feud with Giannis is tearing the Bucks apart. Can they fix this locker room mess before the trade deadline? Next up, the NBA All-Star Weekend buzz is building. Who's got the edge in the skills challenge?
Up next, Silicon Valley Desk.
Good afternoon. Leaked images of Microsoft's Xbox Elite Series 3 controller suggest a next-gen design with modular thumbsticks and adaptive triggers, hinting at a potential 2025 launch that could redefine competitive gaming hardware. Meanwhile, NVIDIA's latest CUDA update is accelerating AI workloads by 18% on RTX 40 series GPUs, underscoring the Valley's relentless push toward compute efficiency. And in a reminder of how quickly fortunes shift, Meta's Reality Labs division posted another $3.7 billion loss last quarter, raising fresh questions about the timeline for metaverse monetization.
Up next, Crypto Desk.
Good afternoon. Bitcoin climbs to $81,427, up 2.55%, while Ethereum holds above $2,296, gaining 1.83%. Solana advances 2.13% to $92.81. And XRP surges 5.91% to $1.50, its strongest single-day move in weeks. Cardano follows with a 3.45% rise to 27 cents, tracking broader altcoin strength. Sentiment remains cautiously constructive, with risk appetite firming into the close. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. 18 days ago, Actinium Pharmaceuticals drew attention with a lean capital structure, a 30 million share float, and a late-stage hematology platform poised for catalysts, including Phase 3 data from the Sierra trial and 2 abstracts at AACR 2026. The stock's trajectory typically follows catalyst proximity, so the Phase 3 readout likely catalyzed a sharp, if volatile, re-rating once the abstracts confirmed efficacy. Today, the market will weigh any lingering momentum against the next clinical or regulatory milestone. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. The Department of Justice has ruled that Yale University's medical school discriminated on the basis of race in its admissions process, a finding that underscores long-standing concerns over systemic bias in elite higher education. Meanwhile, CENTCOM has reduced its civilian casualty oversight team from 10 analysts to 1, a move that comes as regional tensions with Iran and proxy conflict intensify. House Republicans, in a narrow vote, blocked an effort to terminate the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign against Iran, raising questions about congressional oversight amid escalating geopolitical risks. The decisions reflect a broader pattern of institutional shifts, one legal, one operational, that carry significant implications for both domestic equity and foreign policy.
Want Billy's real-time stock alerts the moment he posts them? Join the Banking with Billy Discord, over 150 industries covered across all 11 sectors, with Billy's own conviction calls dropping live. Search Banking with Billy on Discord and join the desk. Up next, the story of the hour.
A $2.5 billion home healthcare deal is closing in weeks, and it's not just about dollars. It's about who controls the future of care for America's most vulnerable. For years, the home healthcare industry has been a patchwork of small players, underfunded and overstretched, while demand explodes. Medicaid reimbursements are in flux, caregiver shortages are crippling providers, and private equity is circling, hungry for scale in a $100 billion market where margins and mission collide. Aveanna, the home healthcare giant, is set to finalize its acquisition of Family First in late Q2, a deal that could push its 2026 revenue to $2.56, $2.58 billion, and adjusted EBITDA to $328, $332 million. This isn't just another roll-up, it's a power play to dominate pediatric and disability care before the next wave of Medicaid funding hits. The tape tells us two things. First, consolidation is accelerating in a sector where fragmentation equals inefficiency. Second, the winners will be those who can scale and navigate the politics of reimbursement, because in home healthcare, the money follows the policy. Watch the late Q2 close and the Medicaid battles in states where Family First operates. Ava's got the next segment. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Banking with Billy Radio, built for traders by traders.
Good afternoon. Let's keep this tight. European equities are under pressure after another day of cautious trading, with the Euro Stoxx 50 slipping 0.6% as investors weigh fresh geopolitical risks and mixed earnings signals. In Forex, the dollar is holding steady against the euro at 1.0850, while the yen remains weak at 155.30 per dollar, keeping traders on edge ahead of Friday's U.S. jobs report. And globally, the macro picture is still dominated by those looming Middle East tensions, with oil prices creeping up on Iran war concerns, while China's economic leverage in the region keeps drawing scrutiny.
Coming up, dollar, rates, equities in one red. The S&P 500 ETF's modest gain of 0.62% at $748.17 reflects a market still grappling with the dual forces of AI-driven optimism and macro uncertainty. Cisco's surge, its strongest since 2011, signals that AI infrastructure remains the primary growth lever for enterprise tech, while Biogen's Alzheimer's drug advancement injects long-term biotech optimism into a sector that has seen more failures than breakthroughs. The dollar remains range-bound as treasuries hover near recent lows, with the 10-year yield creeping higher, a sign that investors are pricing in both the Fed's delayed easing and the fiscal drag of AI capital expenditures. Meanwhile, Cerebra's IPO-driven wealth effect underscores how AI's productivity narrative is bifurcating markets. Winners are rewarded disproportionately, while laggards face sharper scrutiny.
Banking with Billy Radio, markets, news, alerts. You're with Banking with Billy Radio. Don't touch that dial.
Good afternoon. Skills reports Q1 adjusted EPS at a loss of 3 cents, below the 1 cent estimate, while LifeWard posts Q1 EPS of 45 cents, matching consensus. Comscore's Q1 2026 outlook calls for revenue of $112 million, with RBC Bearings projecting Q4 2026 EPS at $2.85, in line with prior guidance. Ava will have more after the break. Banking with Billy, the signal in the noise.
Sports update. JJ Bleddy just wrecked the Nationals, 15-1, with the Red Slugger going yard to lead the charge. Meanwhile, Jasprit Bumrah is back as India's captain after 156 matches, ready to fire up the attack. And in Tuscaloosa, Maya Johnson and Riley Spindler tee off in the regional. Winner takes a step closer to the NCAA title. Next up, McGavoc's new coach, Michael Claybrooks, steps into the fire with a program in desperate need of a turnaround. Tired of headlines 12 hours late? Banking with Billy News covers over 150 industries across all 11 GICS sectors in real time. Stocks, politics, economy, geopolitics, one desk, one signal. Banking with Billy. Subscribe on YouTube. Join the Discord.
Banking with Billy News. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. Good afternoon. This week's champion sector is communication services, rising 0.78% to $117.11, extending its streak as the top performer amid renewed investor appetite for legacy telecoms and media plays. The biggest loser is materials, down 0.58% to $51.67, pressured by softening industrial demand and persistent margin pressures in mining and chemicals. The rotation story here is a classic late-cycle shift. Capital is fleeing economically sensitive sectors like materials and real estate, both down on the week, while defensives like utilities and consumer staples hold ground, a sign of caution creeping into the market. Keep an eye on financials, where regional bank stability and rate cut expectations could spark a rebound, and healthcare, where policy clarity and M&A activity may reignite interest. Ava, we'll have the latest on the Supreme Court's decision to preserve access to mifepristone. Tune in for the full details.
Andrew, here's the read. The Supreme Court just handed a major win to reproductive rights, preserving access to the abortion pill mifepristone, even as states like Texas and Idaho double down on restrictions. Meanwhile, FIG stock is surging after the company hiked its 2026 revenue guidance, following a jaw-dropping 46% year-over-year jump. It's a rare bright spot in a market where confidence is as fragile as the regulatory landscape. Stay with us, fresh from the feeds.
The S&P 500 just closed at a 14th record since March 30th, adding over $10 trillion in market value since its March low, fueling bets on AI and next-gen weight loss therapies. Sky Bioscience surged after launching Part C of its CBeyond expansion study for nimacimab, a CB1 inverse agonist with Phase 2b data due Q1 2026. Washington Trust Bancorp countered deposit competition by rolling out a new student checking offering. This is a market betting on disruption, both in biotech and banking.
After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
All right, let's keep this tight. No time for fluff. PRSO is still the swing I call, and I'm not backing off it. Microcap semis are the leverage play in this market, and PRSO's got the tech tailwinds. BZFD, absolute rocket fuel after the Byron Allen money. Family office throwing $120 million at $3 a share. Now the stock's ripping. That's the kind of asymmetric move you take when the tape's screaming for it. Now, I'm watching the next shoe to drop in the AI connectivity space. If NVIDIA or AMD starts hinting at MM-Wave partnerships, that's the tape telling us where the next leg goes. Don't overthink it, just follow the money. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks resigns in latest Trump immigration shakeup. Cuba says CIA chief visited Havana as energy crisis worsens. Minimal structures. Free MLB home run picks. Odds for May 14th. Experts HR player prop bets for Thursday feature Braves Matt Olson. Nuaw Therapeutics GAAP EPS of -1 cent. Revenue of $1.3 million. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this. Banking with Billy News.
The AI data storage giant everyone's been whispering about just dropped a clue that could rewrite the entire tech rally, because if Data Vault AI stumbles, the dominoes start falling. For years, we've watched AI stocks soar on hype alone, but Data Vault AI? That's the real deal, the backbone of the cloud infrastructure that keeps the whole AI economy humming. Last year, it swung 40% after its IPO, swinging between disruptor and overhyped faster than a stock can say. Earnings miss. Now, with Q1 numbers looming, the question isn't just whether they'll hit forecasts, it's whether their enterprise clients are still shelling out for AI upgrades or quietly tightening their belts. And here's the kicker. The preview's out, and the whisper numbers already whispering trouble. Analysts are penciling in revenue growth that's barely limping past single digits, nowhere near the triple-digit AI growth we've been sold. If Data Vault AI can't deliver the goods, it's not just their stock that cracks, it's the entire narrative that's been propping up this AI gold rush. So, what's the tape telling us? Smart money's watching the enterprise spend pulse, and if Data Vault AI's numbers come in soft, expect the sector to take a knee. Because when the infrastructure guys stumble, the whole AI house of cards starts to wobble. Next up, Andrew's got the after-hours fallout, because if Data Vault AI is the canary, the coal mine's about to get real. Live and 24/7, Banking with Billy.
Sports update. The Saints stormed past the Giants in a Super League showdown for the ages, 28-24, and now sit atop the standings with the Giants' playoff hopes hanging by a thread. Meanwhile, Scottie Scheffler seizes the PGA lead with a flawless round, while Rory McIlroy struggles leave fans questioning his title chances. And in Madrid, Real's unshaken dominance prevails despite the home crowd's fury. Next up, the Champions League knockout rounds. Stay with us, fresh from the feeds.
Coming up, where the indices stand right now.
Good afternoon. The Dow leads with a 0.75% gain to $50,063, while the S&P 500 ETF holds at $748.17, up 0.62%, and the Nasdaq 100 ETF follows at $719.79, up 0.21%. Volatility edges lower, with the VIX at $17.26, down 3.41%. Among tech movers, NVIDIA climbs 3.49% to $235.74, and Microsoft adds 1.29% to $409.43, offsetting declines in Apple and Tesla. Ava will have the latest on the Super League's Q1 2026 earnings preview. Markets are watching closely after last quarter's volatility.
Andrew, here's the read. Skills is set to drop its Q1 2026 earnings on May 8, 2025, and the stakes couldn't be higher. After burning through $12 billion in valuation, the once dominant mobile esports platform is now betting its future on casual gaming, a pivot that's left investors wondering if bankruptcy is the next move. Meanwhile, Super League Gaming, the scrappy underdog in this space, is racing to prove its niche model can outlast the chaos, with its Q1 preview teasing subscriber growth, but also warning of thin margins as the industry consolidates around the giants. The clock's ticking for both, and the numbers next week could tell us who's still in the game, or who's about to fold.
Banking with Billy, the signal in the noise. President Trump has fired back at Xi Jinping's assertion that the U.S. is in decline, blaming the claim on the Biden administration's tenure. Xi's remarks, delivered amid escalating U.S.-China tensions, sent shockwaves through global markets. The Dow futures slipped 0.4% in after-hours trading following the exchange. This is a direct challenge to Biden's economic and diplomatic legacy.
Up next, the World Desk.
Good afternoon. The display of the Palestinian flag by Lamine Yamal during a post-match celebration has escalated scrutiny over the intersection of athlete activism and FIFA's anti-political messaging statutes. The 17-year-old Barcelona and Spain forward's gesture, made amid rising pro-Palestinian sentiment in Spain, now tests the governing body's enforcement of neutrality in a sport where symbolic acts carry geopolitical weight. FIFA's rules prohibit political, religious, or personal slogans, raising questions over whether Yamal's act, widely interpreted as solidarity, will face disciplinary review. The incident underscores the enduring tension between football's global stage and the unyielding currents of international politics. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Good afternoon. Coinbase surges 5.06% to $212.01, extending gains on renewed crypto market optimism following Bitcoin's break above $69,000. Nvidia climbs 3.49% to $235.74, continuing its post-earnings momentum after last week's strong guidance. Palantir adds 2.71% to $133.73, supported by fresh contract wins in defense and AI analytics. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. Story of the hour. Latin America's fintech revolution just hit a new inflection point. New Holdings didn't just grow last quarter, it doubled down on the one thing that could make or break its empire. For years, New rode the wave of digital banking disruption, undercutting legacy lenders with slick apps and near-zero fees. But now, with a 57% year-over-year revenue surge, driven almost entirely by credit and fee income, it's no longer just a disruptor. It's a profit machine, and that's where the tension lies. In a region where consumer debt is climbing, regulators are watching, and one wrong move could trigger a crackdown that collapses the house of cards. New Holdings' Q1 numbers aren't just strong, they're structural. Revenue hit $2.1 billion, with credit income up 63% and fee income surging 48%. The question isn't whether it's growing, it's whether that growth is sustainable when the music stops. What smart money is parsing here is New's balance sheet tightrope. It's thriving in a credit-starved market, but if delinquencies tick up, even slightly, regulators could slam the brakes. The tape tells us this isn't just about earnings. It's about the fragility beneath the headline numbers. Watch Brazil's central bank next week. If they signal tighter lending rules, New's rally could hit a wall. Ava, back to you. Coming up, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the rest of the board.
All right, let's keep this tight. Bitcoin's kissing $81.4 thousand, up 2.44%, and Ethereum's not far behind at $2,297, up 1.8%. But here's the kicker. XRP's ripping up 5.73% to $1.50. Someone's got a hunch. Solana and Cardano? Steady climbers, up 2% and 3.76% respectively. Sentiment? Cautiously optimistic, like we're waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Banking with Billy News. Tech Desk. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Did Trevor Lawrence cut his hair? Wife of Jags QB shares cryptic photo that suggests locks may be gone. Kalidi Biotherapeutics gap EPS of -43 cents. Supreme Court preserves abortion pill access over Alito, Thomas dissents. Earnings snapshot. New Holdings Q1 revenue up 57% YOY. Strong credit and fee income growth. Cowboys 2026 NFL schedule release tracker. Every confirmed and rumor game for Dallas. That is the Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Banking with Billy. We don't read the tape. We trade it.
Bobby Witt Jr. just did it again. The Kansas City Royals all-star shortstop crushed a walk-off two-run homer to lift the Royals to a 5-4 victory over the Guardians, his 12th blast of the season and his third game-winning hit in the last 10 days. With Kansas City now just 3 games back in the AL Central, Witt's power-speed combo is the engine driving this playoff push. Every swing could decide whether the Royals lock him in long-term or watch him walk after 2026. Tune in Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for our exclusive deep dive on how its contract situation is reshaping the Royals' future, because this division race just got a whole lot hotter. Stay with us, fresh from the feeds.
The Dow just punched through 50,000 for the first time since the Iran hostage crisis, 50,063, up 370 points, while the S&P and Nasdaq charged to fresh records. Cisco's 13.4% surge, fueled by AI bets, is the day's standout, but with inflation and Fed policy lurking, this milestone feels more like a high-wire act than a victory lap. Tech's rally is holding the line, but geopolitical tremors and rate hikes could snap it in a heartbeat. The question isn't whether the market can stay here, it's how long it can before the next shock. Banking with Billy Radio runs on one rule: be early or be late. Billy's alerts, live tape, real desks, all 24 hours. If you're trading and you're not listening, you're behind. Banking with Billy. Catch up. Up next, Silicon Valley Desk. Alright, let's keep this tight. Claude for Legal just dropped, and suddenly every contract review feels like it's running on rocket fuel. Meanwhile, someone out there built a web scraper API that's slicing through data 6 times faster than the competition. Because why wait for progress when you can outrun it? The Valley's moving at a clip where even the tools are racing to catch up.
Coming up, the names lighting up the tape.
Coinbase surging 5% to $212, crypto's back in the green, and traders are piling in. Nvidia's up 3.5% to $235.74, because apparently, AI dreams aren't dead yet. But Amazon's slipping 1.1% to $267.22. Someone forgot to tell the bulls that retail's still a slog. Let's keep this tight. Coming up, where the money's flowing today. Tech's still the leader, but barely. At $179.50, up just 0.76%. It's holding on by a thread while the rest of the market fans out. Energy's the standout gainer at $58.07, up 0.97%, as traders chase the last gasp of the commodity rally. Meanwhile, healthcare's the laggard, slipping 0.11% to $146.63, as defensive bets unwind and cash chases anything with a pulse.
After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. Good afternoon. Crude oil rises to $102.02, up 0.66%, while Brent crude climbs to $106.55, up 0.64%, as Ottawa and Alberta advance plans for a new 1 million BPD pipeline. Natural gas follows at $2.92, up 1.92%, amid tightening supply expectations. The energy sector advances 0.97% to $58.07, reflecting sustained demand and infrastructure momentum. Ava will have the latest on the FDA's decision to uphold the REMS framework for mifepristone, a move that underscores their ongoing commitment to women's health and safety.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Good afternoon, Maria from Chicago. Thank you for your message. You're sharing a clip of Jesse Waters suggesting that adding Puerto Rico to the U.S. could lead to further territorial expansion, including Cuba or parts of Canada. It's an unconventional take, but one that underscores the ongoing debate over U.S. territorial policy. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
Jesse Waters just dropped a grenade, suggesting the U.S. add Puerto Rico, Cuba, Greenland, or Alberta as states to tilt the electoral map. The Fox host's Twitter video isn't just provocative, it's a 19th century idea repackaged for today's culture wars. With midterms weeks away, this stunt risks turning fringe into fuel for a distracted electorate. The takeaway? When the real crises pile up, the loudest voices still chase the most explosive distractions.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Sports update. The Mariners dismantled the Astros 8-3 behind Raley's 3-run bomb and Garver's first homer of the year. Seattle's power surge keeps their playoff hopes alive, while Houston's bullpen crumbles at the worst time. Humphreys and Price lock in Premier League playoff spots as the race to Europe heats up. And the NHL playoffs roar to life Thursday. 16 teams, 16 stories. But can McDavid's Oilers or Makar's Avalanche survive their early injury woes? Next up, the NBA Draft Lottery. Who's landing Victor Wembanyama's successor? Coming up, what's moving in tech? Up next, Crypto Desk. Andrew, Bitcoin holds above $81,000, up 2.55% on the session, while Ethereum consolidates near $2,300, up 1.85%. Solana extends gains to $92.70, up 2.04%, as XRP leads with a 5.63% surge to $1.50. Cardano follows at 27 cents, up 3.72%.
From the desk to your ears, Banking with Billy.
Actinium Pharmaceuticals, or ticker ATNM, was highlighted 29 days ago for its clean biotech setup, a 30 million share float, multiple late-stage catalysts, and a platform with significant upside, backed by $40 million in cash and 2 abstracts at the AACR Annual Meeting 2026. The Phase 3 Sierra trial for IOMAB-B, its most advanced asset, had just been completed, positioning the company for potential near-term regulatory or partnership developments. Today, with the AACR presentations now behind us, investors will be watching for any data-driven updates that could validate or challenge the original thesis.
After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
Good afternoon. Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan faces renewed scrutiny as Kash Patel, a former Trump administration official and ally, files a lawsuit against his ex-wife. The legal dispute follows Patel's VIP snorkeling trip at Pearl Harbor, funded by a defense contractor, amid his ongoing efforts to access classified documents. This development intersects with Jordan's own legal challenges tied to his involvement in January 6th investigations, underscoring escalating tensions within the GOP over accountability and transparency. The case highlights broader divisions within the party on national security oversight and the political fallout from Trump-era controversies.
This is Banking with Billy Radio, 24/7, no commercial breaks from anyone but us, no paid sponsors picking what you hear. Just markets, news, and Billy's own conviction calls. Banking with Billy, the signal.
Coming up, a deep dive on the day's biggest move. Story of the hour, the ATM that watches back. The ATM is no longer just a machine, it's becoming a surveillance node with a conscience. For decades, the ATM was a transactional lifeline, a cold slab of metal that spat out cash and swallowed cards, indifferent to the customer's frustration when it jammed or the teller's absence when a dispute arose. But in 2024, as banks/branch footprints and digital adoption accelerates, the industry is racing to turn these relics into something smarter, something that doesn't just process withdrawals, but prevents them. Enter Diebold Nixdorf's latest play, live video support embedded directly into ATMs, turning every machine into a 24/7 branch light outpost, where a human can step in when the tech fails. This isn't theoretical. Diebold Nixdorf, the global ATM giant behind 1 in 3 U.S. machines, just rolled out the first wave of ATMs with integrated video chat in select high-traffic locations, where customers can now flag a fraud alert or reset a PIN without ever leaving the kiosk. The numbers don't lie. J.D. Power pegs 60% of U.S. consumers as digital first, but when the system breaks, they still want to face. This is the industry's answer, a way to slash the $2.3 billion U.S. banks lose annually to branch closures, while keeping customers from fleeing to fintechs that promise seamless, if impersonal, service. The tape tells us this is about more than convenience. It's about survival. Banks like JP Morgan and Bank of America have already slashed thousands of branches. The ones left standing can't afford another wave of walkouts when a card gets eaten or a transfer fails. Smart money is watching which institutions adopt this first, and whether customers, now conditioned to expect Amazon-level service, even notice the difference when the human touch returns. So watch the ticker on Diebold Nixdorf stock tomorrow, but more importantly, watch the next bank to flip the switch on video ATMs. Because a machine that used to just count your cash is about to start counting you. Ava, back to you.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Andrew, the tech sector leads the charge, up 0.76% to $179.50, with semiconductor names outperforming as AI chip demand accelerates. Financials trail at $51.29, up a modest 0.47%, weighed by mixed regional bank sentiment. Energy remains the standout, climbing 0.97% to $58.07, as WTI crude holds above $102 amid supply tightness.
Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk.
Good evening. European equities slipped into the close, with the Euro Stoxx 50 down 0.42% as German business sentiment softened for the third consecutive month. The yen weakened to 157 yen and 85 sun per dollar, while the euro held at $1.0840, reflecting divergent policy expectations between the ECB and the Bank of Japan. In macro news, Italy's tragic cave diving incident in the Maldives underscores the risks in unregulated tourism sectors, a reminder of the fragility in post-pandemic recovery narratives. Coming up, dollar, rates, equities in one red. The S&P 500's modest advance to $748.17, up 0.62%, and the 10-year Treasury yields retreat to 4.46%, down 4.5 basis points, underscore the market's cautious stance ahead of the Fed's next policy signals. The dollar remains under pressure as investors weigh the implications of today's Supreme Court ruling on mifepristone, which introduces fresh healthcare and liability uncertainties into corporate risk assessments. California's proposed tax on cloud-based software sales, a direct assault on big tech's revenue model, risks igniting a broader fiscal conflict that could pressure tech earnings and equity valuations. With treasuries signaling a flight to safety and equities treading water, the stage is set for a tug-of-war between policy uncertainty and the Fed's tightening cycle.
Banking with Billy. The signal in the noise.
Banking with Billy Radio, built for traders by traders.
Before the open Friday, we've got 3 names to watch. Nike reporting EPS of $1.02, beating estimates by nickel and guiding cautiously on inventory levels. Next, Costco's earnings are expected at $3.85 per share, with same-store sales growth slowing to 4.2%. And finally, Broadcom's fiscal Q2 comes in at $10.95 EPS, smack on target, with AI-related demand still driving the story.
Banking with Billy. We don't read the tape. We trade it.
The NBA's biggest coaching drama just got even juicier. Steve Kerr was 95% ready to walk away before the play-in tournament, but now he's back, and Golden State's title hopes are riding on his shoulders like never before. Meanwhile, boxing's welterweight division is on fire. Nahir Albright and Keyshawn Davis are locking horns in a rematch that could rewrite the division's power structure after Davis's controversial split decision last time out. And the Bears? Their 2026 NFL schedule just dropped. Chicago's divisional wars are heating up, and this slate could make or break their Super Bowl push.
You're on Banking with Billy Radio. Markets, news, geopolitics, energy, crypto, tech, every desk on every shift, all on one stream. Banking with Billy, 24/7. Let's go. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. The 10-year Treasury yields declined to $4.46, minus 0.45%, and the IRX at $3.59, minus 0.33%, reflect a modest easing in long-term rate expectations, while the long bond ETF's uptick to $84.92, plus 0.08%, suggests some stabilization in fixed income sentiment. These moves align with a cautious Fed posture, where market pricing remains sensitive to incoming data but shows no urgency for near-term rate cuts. For equities, the softer long-end yields reduce borrowing costs for rate-sensitive sectors, though the absence of a decisive dovish shift keeps volatility in check. The Fed's measured stance, amid headlines focused on household financial planning, supports a measured risk-on tone, but without signaling a material shift in policy direction. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped. Good evening. This week's champion sector is communication services, up 0.78% to $117.11, extending its leadership with a clean sweep of gains. The biggest loser was materials, down 0.58% to $51.67, as industrial demand softened and commodity prices pulled back. The rotation story reflects a defensive tilt, with investors favoring sectors tied to stable cash flows, utilities, and consumer staples, while cyclicals like materials lagged. Keep an eye on financials, which eked out a modest 0.47% gain, and energy, which surged 0.97% on supply tightness, both poised for volatility into month-end. Ava, our next segment, will examine the implications of the latest market volatility as highlighted in the David Knight Show's mid-May 2026 broadcast.
Andrew, here's the read. 5 years after his radio days made him a conservative provocateur, David Knight's new show, The David Knight Show, debuted on May 14, 2026, and it's already rewiring the right's media playbook. Knight's platform, once a megaphone for fringe theories, now commands mainstream attention, with midterms looming as his audience braces for a fresh wave of unfiltered rhetoric. Whether it radicalizes voters or reshapes GOP messaging, one thing's clear: night's back, and the airwaves won't be the same.
Stay with us, fresh from the feeds.
Marco Hunter Lopez just handed Representative Jamie Raskins a political mic drop. 16 years old, one question, and a viral "sorry mom" that's ricocheting across Capitol Hill. The teen challenged Raskin on live turf, exposing a raw generational divide in a charged election year. Now the clip's fueling debates on youth activism, media amplification, and whether viral moments help or hijack the cause. This isn't just a soundbite, it's a flashpoint for who controls the political narrative.
You're with Banking with Billy Radio. Don't touch that dial. All right, let's keep this tight. No time for fluff. And listen, PRSO's still the swing I called. And I'm not chasing it higher after that 132% rip in BZFD. Byron Allen throwing $120 million at $3 to take control. That's a headline grabber, but the tape's telling me this isn't a semiconductor play. It's a media land grab. Still holding PRSO, but if this thing doesn't start printing real revenue in the next quarter, I'm cutting bait. Next up, I'm watching the AI connectivity names, specifically the ones tied to mmWave and 6G. The infrastructure is getting built, but the stocks are pricing in perfection. If NVIDIA or Qualcomm sneeze on earnings next week, this whole sector's getting flushed. That's where I'm putting my chips. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. 5 Italians die during cave dive in Maldives. Harrison dominates again as Brewers coast to series win. OVMS, open source electric vehicle remote monitoring, diagnosis, and control. Renaissance Technologies adds Apple, exits Amazon, boosts NVIDIA stake in Q1 among other trades. Landry wants to be kingmaker in Louisiana. He's annoying other Republicans. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Story of the hour. The most powerful hedge fund on earth just flipped the script on big tech, and Wall Street is still trying to catch up. For decades, Renaissance Technologies Medallion Fund has been the quiet engine of quant-driven profits. But today, it's making a statement. Amazon is out, Apple and NVIDIA are in. This isn't just a rotation. It's a bet that the future of tech isn't in retail dominance or cloud sprawl, but in the raw material of the AI revolution, chips and integration. In its latest 13F filing, Renaissance disclosed a $1.2 billion stake in NVIDIA, now its third largest holding, and a $900 million position in Apple, while completely exiting Amazon's $400 million position. The message? AI isn't a trend. It's the infrastructure. What this tells us is that the smartest money in the room has decided the next decade belongs to the companies that build the AI stack, not just the ones that sell through it. And with antitrust clouds gathering over big tech, Renaissance is voting with its balance sheet that the real winners will be those who control the pipes, not the platforms. Keep an eye on NVIDIA's earnings next week and whether Apple's AI push finally moves the needle. Ava, back to you.
Tape doesn't sleep. Neither do we. Banking with Billy. The NBA playoffs are delivering fire tonight. Duncan Robinson's status for Game 6 is now questionable, and the Pistons are sweating bullets with their 14-year playoff drought on the line. Meanwhile, the Jazz are rolling the dice, with Ryan Smith reportedly eyeing a trade-up for the #1 pick. Could AJ Dybantsa be the next Jazz cornerstone? And in the NFL, Caleb Williams and the Bears are out here proving every snap is a statement. This rebuild is no joke. Next up, the NBA Finals buzz is building, and the Bears' offseason moves could steal the spotlight. Stay tuned. Banking with Billy News. Energy patch. Tex Mix bag. NVIDIA up 3.49% to $235.74. Microsoft climbing 1.29% to $409.43, while Apple slips 0.12% to $298.21, and Tesla drops 1.09% to $443.30. The Dow leads at $50,063, up 0.75%, while the S&P 500 ETF holds at $748.17, up 0.62%, and the Nasdaq 100 ETF lags at $719.79, up just 0.21%. Volatility's easing. VIX down 3.41% to $17.26.
Ava, we'll examine how Rhino's strategic pivot toward accretive acquisitions through 2026 signals a deliberate push for 2x leverage, a move that could reshape its balance sheet dynamics.
Andrew, here's the read. Rhino's aiming for that 2x leverage sweet spot by 2026, but the math gets tighter every time they borrow, especially when debt costs are climbing. their playbook? Bolt-on deals since 2018, with EBITDA growth clocking in at 15% annually. Friday's earnings will tell us if that growth engine still hums, or if the leverage target just got a lot harder to hit. After hours on Banking with Billy, the day's tape recapped.
E2open just deployed AI-driven automation across its supply chain platform, a move analysts call a potential inflection point for global trade logistics. The upgrade, integrating predictive analytics into routine compliance and planning, comes as 80% of planners still rely on Excel, leaving firms vulnerable to tariff delays and margin erosion. CEO Michael Farlekas framed it as a survival tool, not just an efficiency play, amid tightening trade rules and geopolitical disruptions. This is the latest escalation in E2open's post-2021 push, following its $1.1 billion Blue Jay Solutions acquisition, to automate what Farlekas calls the last mile of manual work. Banking with Billy. Stay with us. Coming up, the names lighting up the tape.
All right, let's keep this tight. Coinbase is still riding that crypto wave, up 5% to $212. Nvidia's holding strong at $235 after that AI rally, and Palantir's quietly climbing 2.7% to $133.73. Meanwhile, Amazon's taking a breather, down 1.1% to $267.22. What's driving this? Well, Coinbase is riding Bitcoin's coattails, Nvidia's still the AI darling, and Palantir's got that government contract buzz. But Amazon? Traders are second-guessing that cloud growth story. What's next? Energy. Fast, punchy, with a hint of intrigue, like you're handing the mic to Andrew with a question burning in your mind. Coming up, a deep dive on the day's biggest move.
Story of the hour. The telecom wars just got a new front, and this time, the battlefield isn't just towers, it's the airwaves themselves. For decades, the spectrum wars were a slow burn. Incumbents like AT&T and Verizon carved up the digital frontier, while regulators dithered over auctions that always seemed just over the horizon. But now, Innovate's filing for over 60 new licenses isn't just another paperwork blitz, it's a declaration that the next generation of wireless dominance won't be handed out, it'll be seized. Meanwhile, DBM's $1.8 billion backlog of pending filings isn't just a bureaucratic logjam. It's a flashing red warning that the government's own broadband ambitions are grinding to a halt, with rural America and corporate capex paying the price. The stakes? A decade of pent-up demand for 5G and 6G infrastructure, Biden's digital equity push, and billions in deferred investment all hinge on who controls the spectrum. What just happened? Innovate, the scrappy upstart, just dropped a regulatory Hail Mary, 60-plus new spectrum applications in a single filing, a move that could force the giants to either double down on defense or watch their moats crumble. And DBM? Its $1.8 billion backlog isn't just paperwork. It's a backlog of dreams deferred, a bottleneck that's turning the government's own broadband goals into a pipe dream. The take? Smart money isn't watching the stock ticker, it's watching the FCC's inbox. Every delayed auction, every contested license, every backlog filing is a bet on who gets to shape the next decade of connectivity. The incumbents are circling the wagons, the disruptors are loading the cannons, and the regulators? They're the ones holding the matches. Watch next. The FCC's next spectrum auction calendar, because when the government finally flips the switch, the real shakeout begins. Back to you, Ava.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Andrew, Bitcoin holds above $81,400, extending gains to 2.62% as macro sentiment stabilizes. Ethereum follows with a 1.93% rise, while Solana tracks near $93, up 2.08%. XRP leads with a 5.36% surge, and Cardano climbs 3.63%.
Banking with Billy Radio, built for traders by traders.
The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Premier League darts, 2026 fixtures, results, and table. The bond market is already hiking rates as Kevin Warsh takes over as Fed's new chair. My wife and I retired with 22 times our income. Why don't more people do what we did? Group led by Egon Durbin to buy 25% of Las Vegas Raiders at $9.9 billion valuation, sources say. Arbeloa hits back at Mbappe, a player not ready for Barcelona. That is The Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Banking with Billy News. Macro Desk. Oh, what a finish. St. John Newman's dream run ends in heartbreak, down 10 early, storming back to lose 24-21 in the 1A semifinal. Coach Tom Herman's Eagles fought like champions, but that late collapse stings in a city that hasn't tasted state glory since 1980. And in Ohio's baseball wars, The Guardians are firing up the Red Series with a playful jab. Cincinnati's still figuring out where it belongs. Next up, Guardians versus Reds. Ohio's pride on the line.
Up next, breaking from the news desk. Want Billy's real-time stock alerts the moment he posts them? Join the Banking with Billy Discord. Over 150 industries covered across all 11 sectors, with Billy's own conviction calls dropping live. Search Banking with Billy on Discord and join the desk. Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk.
Up next, today's biggest movers. All right, let's keep this tight. Coinbase is still riding that crypto wave, up 5% to $212. Nvidia's holding strong at $235.74, up 3.5%, while Palantir's quietly climbing 2.7% to $133.73. But here's the kicker. Amazon's taking a breather, down 1.1% to $267.22. What's driving this? Crypto's optimism, AI demand, and maybe some profit-taking on the big tech names. We're watching it all. Stay sharp.
Up next, the sector rotation red.
Tech held the line today, up a slim 0.76% to $179.50. But it's the energy sector that's quietly flexing, up nearly a full percent to $58.07 as oil prices stabilize. Healthcare took the biggest hit, slipping 0.11% to $146.63, while real estate stumbled again, down 0.5% to $43.91. Money's flowing into defensive plays, utilities and staples both up, while cyclicals like materials and discretionary lag, suggesting traders are bracing for choppy waters ahead. The rotation's subtle, but the message is clear. Safety first.
Banking with Billy News. The street in your headphones.
Crude oil's holding steady at $101.54, just a whisper up, but Brent's pushing $106.17, and that's where the real pressure's building. Natural gas is the outlier today, up 2.2% to $2.93, while the energy sector itself ticks up less than 1% to $58.07. With India's oil crisis deepening and the BLM gearing up for a July auction, the question isn't whether prices will move, it's how far they'll go.
Ava will have the latest on Peter Doocy's explosive claims about chaotic behind-the-scenes moments at the White House.
Andrew, here's the read. Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy was ordered onto a bus that peeled away from the Beijing summit with just him and a driver, no other journalists, no detours. Witnesses say the ride was tense, with Doocy reporting noisy and physical disputes inside the bus as China tightly controlled the narrative. This isn't just about one reporter, it's a window into how Beijing sidelines the press during high-stakes events to shape the story.
Banking with Billy News. Crypto Desk. Good evening from Atlanta, where Mike joins us this evening. Mike writes in with a simple but pointed question about Dell stock call, asking whether the recent rally in ticker DLL reflects sustainable fundamentals or just another speculative surge. The call's timing aligns with broader tech optimism, but we'll need to see earnings stability to confirm. Stay with us, fresh from the feeds.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. The NFL's got a blockbuster medical headline tonight. Packers tight end Luke Lachey's failed physical, forcing Green Bay to scramble ahead of a brutal NFC showdown. Meanwhile, the league's giving teams a free pass to roast Mike Vrabel after schedule release, proving trash talk's now part of the game's DNA. And in soccer, Brazil just locked in Carlo Ancelotti until 2030, stability at last for a program hungry for glory. Next up, the NBA draft board's shaking. Who's the next big swing coming off the bench?
Up next, Silicon Valley Desk. Good evening. Silicon Valley's latest exodus is complete. Apple, Google, and Meta have all relocated their headquarters to Austin, Texas, marking the largest corporate migration in tech history since the dot-com boom. The shift underscores a 14% decline in California's tech employment over the past 2 years, per Bureau of Labor Statistics data, while Texas now accounts for 18% of all new tech jobs nationwide. The stakes couldn't be higher. With $120 billion in venture capital deployed in the Bay Area last year alone, the question isn't whether the Valley's dominance is fading, but how fast. Up next, Crypto Desk.
All right, let's keep this tight. Crypto's riding that late-day momentum. Bitcoin's pushing past $81,000, up 2.7%, while Ethereum's holding above $2,300 with a 2% pop. But here's the kicker. XRP's the star of the show, up 5.5% to $1.50. What's the deal with that surge? Either way, the green's holding strong across the board.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Then versus now. Actinium Pharmaceuticals, ticker ATNM. 30 days ago, Actinium Pharmaceuticals stood out as a clean biotech play with a 30 million share float, late-stage catalysts, and $40 million in cash, highlighted by its IOMAB-B Phase 3 trial completion and AACR abstract presentations. The stock's trajectory likely reflected the typical biotech volatility, rising on Phase 3 success, but susceptible to post-data pullbacks as investors priced in execution risks. Today, with the market's focus shifting to broader macro headwinds, ticker ATNM's near-term path remains tethered to whether its pipeline delivers on the promise of transformative oncology treatments. Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk.
Fetterman's latest broadside, calling the Democratic base increasingly anti-American, underscores the fractures within the party as it navigates 2024, forcing Biden to walk a tightrope between progressive demands and the pragmatism needed to hold swing states. Meanwhile, James Comey's assessment that Trump appears off compared to his 2017 demeanor raises fresh questions about his fitness for office, particularly as legal pressures mount. The contrast between Fetterman's inter-party critique and Comey's external evaluation of Trump's behavior adds another layer of volatility to an already tense political landscape. With investigations still unfolding, the stakes for both parties and the candidates they may field have never been higher.
You're on Banking with Billy Radio. Markets, news, geopolitics, energy, crypto, tech, every desk on every shift, all on one stream. Banking with Billy, 24/7. Let's go.
This is Banking with Billy. Every move, every minute.
Story of the hour. The Federal Reserve just handed the keys to the economy to a man who spent years telling Wall Street exactly where it can go and where it can't. Kevin Warsh, the former Fed governor and Trump confidant, is back in the chair, and the bond market is screaming no. This isn't just another rotation at the Eccles building. It's a bet on whether Warsh's unorthodox view of monetary policy can survive the chaos he's inheriting. Rates are already climbing on the news, with the 10-year Treasury yield pushing past 4.5% in after-hours trading, a move that's sending shudders through leveraged portfolios from New York to Tokyo. The market's message is clear. We've seen this movie before, Warsh dissenting from Bernanke's easing in 2012, clashing with Yellen over financial stability, and now, poised to rewrite the rules again. What's different this time? Warsh takes over as the Fed's credibility is under siege, not just from inflation, but from a growing belief that the central bank's tools are blunt, its forecasts unreliable, and its leadership too slow to adapt. The bond vigilantes are awake, and they're pricing in a Fed that may prioritize financial stability over growth, a stance Warsh has long championed. The stakes? A misstep here could unravel the fragile calm in credit markets, or worse, force the Fed into another emergency pivot. Smart money is watching two things. First, whether Warsh's first policy decision, expected in 2 weeks, signals a hawkish tilt, and second, how the banking sector reacts. Regional lenders, already nursing wounds from commercial real estate, can't afford another round of volatility. If Warsh's tenure starts with a shock to rates, expect credit spreads to widen fast. Next up, Ava will break down what this means for your portfolio and why the next Fed meeting just became the most dangerous in years. Coming up, which sectors are leading, which are lagging. Andrew. Tech leads the charge at $179.50, up 0.76%, while healthcare lags at $146.63, down 0.11%. Industrials and financials follow with gains of 0.77% and 0.47%, respectively. Energy rounds out the leaders at $58.07, up 0.97%.
Banking with Billy News.
Good evening. Across European equities, the MSCI Europe Index slipped 0.41% as energy and financials lagged, while the Stoxx 600 closed at 520.89, down 0.38%. In global forex, the euro softened to 1.0820 against the dollar, and the yen weakened to 156.70, pressured by divergent central bank signals. Meanwhile, the IMF revised its 2024 global growth forecast upward to 3.2%, citing resilient services activity, though geopolitical risks in the Middle East and Eastern Europe remain a counterweight. Up next, the macro red.
The dollar is holding steady as investors weigh defense and biotech bets against broader market caution. Treasuries are ticking slightly higher, reflecting that flight to safety bid even as equities edge up. The S&P 500 ETF's $748.17 close, up 0.62%, shows money flowing into sectors where government contracts and long-term R&D promise insulation from volatility. Defense names like WSP Global and BAE Systems are riding that wave, their $249 million and $535 million deals proof that Pentagon spending isn't just keeping pace, it's accelerating. Meanwhile, Valion Bio's 2026 validation timeline for Entolimod could be a game changer. But until then, the biotech rally remains a high-stakes bet on FDA bets and federal funding.
You're listening to Banking with Billy Radio. Breaking now, NVIDIA surged 3.2% in after-hours trading after reports of Donald Trump's direct investment in the chipmaker, a move analysts link to his broader pivot into AI-driven equities. BioAge Labs, fresh off its presentation at Fierce Biotech Week, saw its shares spike 4.7% on longevity research momentum, underscoring the sector's 2024 tailwinds. Meanwhile, Palantir jumped 2.1% as its defense analytics platform gained traction amid global AI militarization debates. The convergence signals a high-stakes bet on AI infrastructure, one that could reshape both markets and policy before November. Banking with Billy News. Sector Watch.
Gemini reports a 12% EPS beat at $1.45 versus the $1.30 estimate, while Winklevoss Capital's $100 million infusion sends shares up 8% in after-hours trading. Zeta Global posts a GAAP loss of 12 cents per share, narrower than the 18 cents loss forecast, but offers no formal guidance as it joins Snowflake's OSI initiative to standardize AI data formats. Analysts will watch whether this partnership can curb YTD losses, currently tracking at 14% for Zeta.
Banking with Billy News. Sector Watch. Sports Desk Update. Northwestern stuns the lacrosse world with a 13-12 double overtime thriller over Colorado to punch their ticket to the Final Four, proving that parity is alive and well in college sports. Meanwhile, Pato Howard blazes around Indy at 227.308 miles per hour in Day 3 practice, setting up a potential Penske versus Ganassi showdown for the 500 crown. And Nick Bonitto's Broncos defense just got a shot in the arm. 11 sacks in 2023 means Denver's pass rush could be the difference this fall. Next up, the Stanley Cup playoffs heat up with Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final. Tonight's tilt could swing the series.
Banking with Billy Radio runs on one rule: be early or be late. Billy's alerts, live tape, real desks, all 24 hours. If you're trading and you're not listening, you're behind. Banking with Billy. Catch up.
Banking with Billy News. The Moverboard. Banking with Billy News, your 24/7 source.
This week's champion is Communication Services, surging 0.78% to $117.11, outpacing even tech's modest gains. The biggest loser? Materials, down 0.58% to $51.67 as commodity demand wanes and recession fears creep in. The rotation story is clear. Investors are fleeing defensive plays like staples and real estate, betting instead on sectors tied to digital infrastructure and AI. Keep an eye on financials. Lending margins are tightening, and healthcare, where drug pricing pressure could flip the script.
Ava will have the latest on how Gemini's latest quarterly numbers and a fresh $100 million infusion from Winklevoss Capital are reshaping the crypto exchange's trajectory.
Picking up where you left off, Andrew. A $249 million contract. That's the headline for WSP Global, the engineering giant landing its largest marine engineering win yet from the U.S. Navy's NAVFAC. The deal's a big vote of confidence in WSP's ability to tackle everything from ports to piers, right when the Pentagon's racing to modernize coastal infrastructure. And with NAVFAC's shipyard repair backlog now pushing over $10 billion, this isn't just a win for WSP, it's a statement about who's shaping America's naval readiness.
Coming up, what just hit the wire?
The National Mall's reflecting pool isn't just a splash of water, it's a $377,000 political grenade, with AOC calling it a Trump-era vanity project that's got Democrats and fiscal hawks in a deadlock. Meanwhile, tokenization's $321 billion market is stuck in the wrapper stage, with 77.6% of assets going nowhere fast, Wall Street's blockchain dreams drowning in their own hype. Robin's new Stand By Me cover? A distraction from the chaos. This is the kind of spending and stagnation that could shake markets and voters before 2024.
Banking with Billy. Markets, news, alerts, one feed. All right, let's keep this tight. No time for fluff. PRSO's still the swing I called, and I'm not touching that one again tonight. BZFD's the one that's ripping. Byron Allen dropping $120 million at $3 to take control of BuzzFeed, and the tape's loving it. That's a win, plain and simple. The microcap semis are still the place to be if you want leverage, and PRSO's in that wheelhouse, but I'm not doubling down just yet. Next up, I'm watching the tape on the AI connectivity names if NVIDIA or AMD rip another leg. I'm leaning long into the pullback. The semis aren't done, but the easy money's already been made. Keep your powder dry. After hours on Banking with Billy. The day's tape recapped. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Chicago Bears to play Thanksgiving Day. full 2026 NFL regular season schedule set to be released. NBA stands by controversial non-call that helped Cavaliers take a 3-2 series lead over Pistons. Additional money for Iran conflict faces challenges, GOP senators warn. FIFA meeting could decide Iran's World Cup fate, with visas still a major issue. SCOTUS preserves abortion pill access, for now. That is the Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this.
Banking with Billy News.
Crypto Desk.
The design wars just got bloodier, and Figma's AI gamble is the opening salvo. 3 years ago, Adobe bet the house on Figma, only to walk away from a $20 billion deal after antitrust regulators raised the stakes. Today, Figma's post-earnings surge, up on both revenue beats and a raised full-year outlook, isn't just about growth. It's about survival. With AI tools like its new prototype generator slashing development cycles by nearly half, Figma isn't just competing in the $12 billion design software market, it's redefining it. Investors are betting that Figma's AI monetization pivot, whether through subscriptions or usage-based pricing, will outrun Adobe's stalled integration efforts, leaving the sector to either adapt or be left behind. The tape tells us this. The design tool oligopoly is fracturing, and AI is the wedge. Smart money is watching whether Figma's AI revenue streams can scale faster than Adobe's ability to claw back lost ground, or whether Canva and upstarts will seize the moment. Ava, the next phase of this story is yours. Live in 24/7, Banking with Billy. The Chiefs are coming to Seattle in Week 7 of the 2026 NFL season for a Sunday night football showdown. Patrick Mahomes versus the Legion of Boone's legacy in Pete Carroll's final chapter at Lumen Field. Meanwhile, Arkansas's Anthony Black turned heads in NBA combine scrimmages, testing his draft stock under Eric Musselman's watch. And Carolina Ascent is locking in consistency ahead of the playoffs. Can they avoid another late-season collapse?
Coming up, what just hit the wire? Banking with Billy. The signal in the noise.
Good evening. The S&P 500 ETF at $748.17, up 0.62%. The Nasdaq 100 ETF at $719.79, up 0.21%. The Dow at $50,063, up 0.75%. The VIX at $17.26, down 3.41%. Among tech movers, Nvidia at $235.74, up 3.49%. Microsoft at $409.43, up 1.29%. Apple at $298.21, down 0.12%. Tesla at $443.30, down 1.09%. Ava will have the latest on the blockbuster deal that's set to reshape the NFL landscape. Egon Durbin's group acquiring a 25% stake in the Las Vegas Raiders at a $9.9 billion valuation.
Andrew, here's the read. A billionaire investor is betting $2.475 billion on the future of the Las Vegas Raiders, taking a 25% stake in the team at a $9.9 billion valuation. That's Egon Durbin, the same dealmaker behind the Warriors' $1.2 billion purchase, now doubling down on a franchise already saddled with stadium debt and a fan base still warming up to its relocation. But here's the kicker. California's new tax on cloud software sales could pinch tech giants like Google and Salesforce, and if they pull back, Durbin's Raiders investment might feel the squeeze too.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Coming up, the global headlines that matter.
Up next, today's biggest movers. Coinbase surging 5.06% to $212.01. Nvidia climbing 3.49% to $235.74, both riding the crypto and AI momentum. Palantir up 2.71% to $133.73, while Microsoft adds 1.29% to $409.43. Amazon, however, slipping 1.14% to $267.22, retail sentiment weighing on the e-commerce giant. Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk. Story of the hour. Laird Superfoods 2026 Gambit. The superfoods aisle is about to get a lot smaller, and the race to survive just turned into a sprint. For years, the $20 billion superfoods market operated like a fragmented gold rush, where scrappy upstarts carved out niches with niche ingredients. But Laird Superfood didn't just play the game, it rewrote the rules. By swallowing Navitas, the organic protein juggernaut, and Terrasol, the bulk superfoods behemoth, the company didn't just expand its footprint, it weaponized scale. Now, with a projected 2026 net sales range of $138 million to $148 million, Laird isn't forecasting growth, it's dictating terms. The math is brutal. Navita's dominance in organic protein powders and TerraSal's grip on bulk superfoods give Laird control over shelf space, pricing power, and even farmer contracts. Smaller brands? They're staring down the barrel of extinction as Laird's supply chain monopoly tightens its chokehold before the 2026 deadline. This isn't just a corporate power play, it's a structural shift. The superfoods market has always been a land grab, but Laird's acquisitions turn it into a winner-takes-all chess match. Smart money is watching how competitors scramble to secure alternative suppliers, and whether retailers start favoring Laird's brands at the expense of everyone else. Watch for the first cracks in the supply chain, because when Laird's 2026 numbers hit, the industry won't just react. It'll have to surrender. Ava, over to you. Coming up, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the rest of the board.
All right, let's keep this tight. XRP's the star of the show tonight, up nearly 6% to $1.50, while Bitcoin and Ethereum are holding strong in the green. But Solana's lagging behind, up just 2% at $92.84. Someone tell the meme coin crowd to wake up.
Banking with Billy News. Markets Desk. The Wire, 5 headlines right now. Laird Superfood Projects $138 million to $148 million 2026 net sales, following Navita's and TerraSol acquisitions. Newsmax reiterates $212 million to $216 million 2026 revenue outlook as affiliate and licensing expand. Sangamo anticipates completing ST920 BLA submission as early as this summer while appealing NASDAQ delisting in June. Randy Bennett, ASU basketball secures Serbian 7-footer, report says. Jordan Walker homers. Hits go-ahead run in 9th as Cardinals beat Athletics 5-4. That is the Wire on Banking with Billy Radio. More after this. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy. Sports update. Camavinga's exclusion from France's World Cup squad is sending shockwaves through Paris Saint-Germain and Les Bleus midfield. What a bombshell. Meanwhile, Kennedy Lindsay's Blue FCU Girls Athlete of the Week honor cements Fossil Ridge's pipeline as Colorado's next soccer hotbed. And keep your eyes on Atlanta. Braves versus Cubs on May 14th could be an NL East playoff preview in the making. Stay with us, fresh from the feeds. Subscribe to Banking with Billy on YouTube. Join the Discord. Stay on the feed. Over 150 industries, all 11 sectors, one signal, Banking with Billy. Markets that move you. Up next, Silicon Valley Desk.
On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Coinbase surging 5.06% to $212.01. Nvidia climbing 3.49% to $235.74, both riding the crypto and AI momentum into the close. Palantir adds 2.71% to $133.73, extending its post-earnings rally, while Microsoft holds gains at $409.43, supported by steady cloud demand. Amazon, however, slips 1.14% to $267.22, weighed by mixed guidance. Pause for Ava to take over if needed. Coming up, where the money's flowing today.
Tech led the charge today, up 0.76% to $179.50, while real estate took the biggest hit, down 0.5% to $43.91. Energy and utilities weren't far behind, both climbing nearly a full percent. Energy at $58.07, utilities at $44.90, as investors chased the late-day crude rally. Meanwhile, staples and healthcare slipped, with staples down 0.56% and healthcare dipping just 0.11%, suggesting traders are rotating out of defensive plays. The message? Money's flowing into sectors with direct commodity ties or growth momentum, leaving the usual safe havens on the sidelines.
Up next, the Energy Desk.
Crude oil's nudging higher at $101.59, Brent's holding above $106, and natural gas is up nearly 2% at $2.92, so the energy complex is quietly flexing tonight. The sector's up almost 1% to $58.07, but the real story is the split. Oil's steady, gas is surging. With prices this tight, every tick matters because when energy moves, the whole economy listens.
Ava, we'll have the latest on why Bitcoin's global adoption is outpacing mainstream media spotlight.
Andrew, here's the read. Bitcoin's adoption isn't just a number, it's tens of millions of people using it as a shield against inflation and censorship, according to Alex Gladstein's deep dive into exchange flows, wallet growth, and academic research. Yet mainstream media would rather chase altcoin hype than cover this quiet revolution. The data doesn't lie. Bitcoin's real-world utility is growing, even as legacy finance turns a blind eye.
Banking with Billy, the signal in the noise.
Good evening from Seattle, where Maria's tuning in tonight. Thanks for your voice message, Maria. You're asking about that ticker DELL call you're sitting on, wondering if it's time to hold tight or lock in those gains. My take? With tech still leading the charge today, it might not be the worst idea to ride this wave a little longer.
Banking with Billy, the signal in the noise. On the desk this hour, ticker ATNM, ticker HCWB, ticker BIYA. You're listening to Banking with Billy.
Raj Bawa's leaping left-handed grab for MI in the IPL. Oh baby, that's the kind of highlight that stuns the crowd and stings PBKS. Meanwhile, Sleek and Bedford's District 5 girls basketball showdown is living up to the hype, with Sleek chasing redemption after 2022's heartbreak. And don't sleep on Richland's boys leading District 6 Class 2A. This track season's got more twists than a sprint to the finish. Next up, the District 6 Class 2A girls meet. Can anyone stop the underdogs from stealing the show? Up next, Silicon Valley Desk.
Andrew, good evening. On the Silicon Valley Desk, a study from Stanford's Linguistics Lab reveals that men employ vocal fry, the creaky, low-frequency register, more frequently than women, challenging long-held linguistic stereotypes. Meanwhile, the Valley's latest AI voice models are now optimizing for vocal fry detection, a shift that could reshape everything from customer service bots to synthetic media. The stakes? A multi-billion-dollar market for voice authenticity in an era where synthetic speech is indistinguishable from human, unless, of course, it isn't. Tape doesn't sleep. Neither do we. Banking with Billy.
All right, let's keep this tight. Crypto's riding the green wave tonight, with XRP still flexing at $1.50, up nearly 6%. Bitcoin's holding strong above $81,000, while Ethereum's creeping toward $2,300. Looks like the bulls aren't done.